want the ball. Which goal would you like to defend?
We want to back towards that.
Okay, put your back. Okay. Houston wins the toss. They defer to the second half. Florida State will receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
So we're moments away from kickoff, and we bring in now the third member of our crew. Here's Tom Luginbill.
Well, thanks, Dave. And the defensive secondary for Florida State, Jalen Ramsey is the guy, and he's going to be tested in space today. Came into this program as a corner, but then moved over to the safety role and then came back to corner after the departure of Ronald Darby and Xavier Rhodes. He's earned the status of being a high NFL draft choice coming this spring. But if you want to look to the future of Florida State on defense, look no further than safety Derwin James. An Under Armour All-American a year ago, a mid-year enrollee for Florida State. This young man is a difference maker. He's the defensive version of what Leonard Fournette was for LSU as a freshman on offense. And as you watch him today and mature over the next couple of years, he's going to remind you a lot of the late, great Sean Taylor, the Miami Hurricane safety. This defense for Florida State, Dave, Brian, going to be tested an awful lot in space today.
All right, Tom, this has been the Nissan pregame rush. Jimbo Fisher, his first bowl game as a head coach was here at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in 2010. They beat South Carolina. Tom Herman, offensive coordinator of the Buckeyes in their run to the national championship. The first of the college football playoff era. And now year 2 of the New Year's Six, ready to get going. Kermit Whitfield is the deep man. Jalen Ramsey is back there as well. They wear the same number, so Ramsey changes from number 8 to number 17, and that's the number that Charlie Ward wore in Florida State. They have to unretire it just for kickoffs. Ty Cummings will kick it deep. Happy New Year from Atlanta. And Whitfield will run it out. And he's past the 20 down the sideline. Whitfield finally dropped at the 36. Great start for Florida State. And now here comes Sean Maguire. First bowl start. He did play some in the Rose Bowl in mop-up duty last year. He's 3-1 this season as the starting quarterback. And he didn't start until the Syracuse game. Played great on October 31st. Threw for 3 touchdowns. Everett Golson started more games than Maguire, but he is not on the trip. For personal reasons, stayed back. He was a graduate transfer, so Golson's collegiate career is over as Hightower is injured for Houston on the opening kickoff.
That's Lee Hightower, the safety for Houston. They play 3 safeties, Trevon Stewart, Adrian McDonald, and Lee Hightower. He's a senior playing in his final game for the University of Houston. Hopefully he'll be able to play in this football game. But, you know, the big thing I think for Sean Maguire in your first bowl game, you've had a month to really think about it. And coming in, this is an opportunity, it's a big game for Sean Maguire. It's not just about playing in this game. This is an audition for next year as well. You know, he's been passed over numerous times at Florida State. Remember Jake Coker, he transfers. Even Clint Trickett transfers. When he first came to Florida State, E.J. Manuel and Jameis Winston were in that quarterback room. So he's had to wait his turn. And now finally, this year, after Everett Golson kind of flustered, he's had his opportunity to go out and play. And this is a big opportunity for him.
They have a redshirt quarterback, which we'll get into a little bit later, and a guy that's coming in that's highly rated. So it's more for Sean Maguire on the line than just today. Good starting field position from the 37. Here's Dalvin Cook wrapped up in the backfield for a loss by Stephen Taylor. Taylor was in the backfield a lot this year. That's 17 tackles for a loss for the junior from Cedar Hill, Texas.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of the names of Elandon Roberts, number 44, the senior middle linebacker, and Stephen Taylor, number 41. Those 2 linebackers have their hands full with Dalvin Cook in the run game.
Dalvin Cook averages 8 yards a carry, good for second in the country, and he gets to the 40-yard line here for about 4.
Let's take a look at today's Chick-fil-A impact players, and there they are. Roberts and Taylor We talked about Cook in the open, such an explosive back. Roberts, 86 solo tackles. That's second in all of college football. And Stephen Taylor leads this Houston defense in sacks. A very aggressive defense led by Todd Orlando. They want to get him in third down situations just like this.
And make Maguire beat him. A trail blitz coming. Maguire moving around in the pocket. And the pass off target, incomplete. He was trying to hit Whitfield. So a 3 and out. But it all started for Houston with that negative play on first down.
This is exactly what Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator, wants. In these situations, here's the safety. He's going to come on a delayed blitz. They want to make Sean Maguire diagnose these pressures, have to get off of his spot and be accurate with the football. He did a nice job of moving in the pocket, but an inaccurate throw forced the punt.
Jason Beatty will boot it deep to Demarcus Ayers. A very dangerous return man. He's got a punt return for a score this year. Excellent boot. And Ayers decides to field it inside his 5. And he's wrapped up at the 8-yard line. Terrence Smith with excellent coverage, 55-yard punt. So junior quarterback Greg Ward from Tyler, Texas. A dual threat quarterback, 35 total touchdowns. He rushed for over 1,000 yards, was named second team All-American Conference. He didn't start in one game this year, and that was the game they lost against Connecticut. He injured his leg and was out. He broke 14 school or conference records this season. Not a big guy, about 180 pounds, 5'11". And here's Ward. Out past the 10 to the 11-yard line. Dumped by Javian Elliott. A 4-yard run for Greg Ward.
You know, talking with Tom Herman, the head coach, he said, you know, Greg Ward's a very emotional player. Sometimes he takes things so seriously if things don't go his way. Sometimes it'll go downhill. He's got to maintain his nerves early in this game. So much of this offense runs through number 1. They're going to need him for 4 quarters.
Here's 2nd and 6. And Ward with a ton of time. The receiver fell down. No flag. Stephen Dunbar lost his feet, and it's 3rd and long.
Well, Lamarcus Brutus, the safety, came over and hit Dunbar and knocked him to the ground. The ISO out here, he's got a double move, and Brutus just knocks him down. Could have easily been a penalty on Brutus.
Ball had not been thrown, though, so legal play by Brutus there. Brutus had surgery to repair a broken bone in his left hand. He was limited in practice, but starting today at safety. So it's 3rd down and 6. Penalty marker down. There was movement. Dead ball foul.
Prior to the snap, false start, 63 offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down. That's
Ben Dew, who has been injured for a majority of this season, left guard. He's back in this game. They need him in this game because they've had a lot of players on that offensive line, a lot of guys playing in different positions, and they need the stability of Ben Dew.
Maybe a little rusty. 3rd and 11 now after the penalty. Ward will throw from his end zone. It's a wide receiver screen in traffic. Ayers on the catch, but Florida State is all over it. Nate Andrews was there for the Seminoles. Now there is a penalty marker thrown way downfield in front of the Florida State sideline at the 32-yard line.
That's in that area where the official gets caught up with a coach or a player. Sideline infraction. That's a guilty look.
See Charles Kelly there in the picture, the defensive coordinator as well, second year as the D coordinator.
Personal foul, number 27. Defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Wow, Marquez White. Let's check in with Tom.
That guy standing right next to that matchup. It was with Marquez White, 27, and Dunbar for Houston. White runs Dunbar down the sideline out of bounds. Little extracurriculars. I don't think the official on this sideline should have made that call. It was through the natural course of the play. It just happened to end 4 or 5 yards out of bounds here. Jimbo Fisher at Florida State not happy at all with that call.
Well, you saw somebody on the Florida State sideline get run over, and then both players got tangled up. The extra shove at the end and the penalty. So a fresh set of downs for Houston on the 20-yard line. And on the jet sweep, it's Ayers. Ayers tripped up, picks up about 3. White on the tackle.
Dave, these are the kinds of plays we're going to see consistently from Houston offensively. Talking with Tom Herman, they don't feel great about the matchup in the middle of the field with their offensive line against this Florida State defensive line. They want to move the point of attack out to the perimeter with runs like that to air.
And here's Ward getting the corner on the first down. Great fake to Ryan Jackson. That fooled Florida State. Held the defense, froze them. And then Ward got the edge.
Well, you cannot lose your eye discipline when you play Greg Ward. That's what FSU defensive coordinator Charles Kelly has been talking about all week.
And Jackson wrapped up at the point of attack. Maybe got a yard. Tackled by Demarcus Walker. There's Major Applewhite, offensive coordinator. It's interesting, Tom Herman went from calling the plays at Ohio State to letting Major Applewhite call the plays. Now, he said he thought it was going to be really hard to give up play calling duties after winning a national championship doing it. Although Urban Meyer, of course, helped. And so now he's taking on the Urban role of helping Major Applewhite. Said it's gone a lot smoother than he thought it would. Here's 2nd and 9. Ward stepping up, and Ward past the 40-yard line. He gets a handful, put him in 3rd, manageable, tackled by Reggie Northrup.
Well, that says a lot about Major Applewhite and the kind of coach that he is, that Tom Herman was able to come in and really teach Major. And Major came in, he said he was very humble. Says, Tom, just teach me the offense and I'll teach the coaches and the players. And it's had a huge impact on this team because now Tom Herman has had that time to build culture and deal with the defense and deal with everything that goes into being a first-time head coach. So I think Major Applewhite's influence has been underestimated on this team.
3rd down and 5 for Houston. Pressure coming, and out on the flat is Jackson. Great open field stop. Nate Andrews out in space takes down Ryan Jackson. 4th down and about 2. We'll see if Houston goes for it here.
They're going to punt this football, but here's Nate Andrews right here, and you're going to see, watch the speed that he uses. You know, he got hurt early in the season, has been playing hurt most of the year. In fact, lost his starting role to Derwin James, a true freshman, but Nate Andrews didn't go in the tank, didn't pout, continued to play each and every week, and a great play on 3rd down.
Now Houston, if nothing else, flipped the field, got out of its own end, got a 1st down because of the Florida State penalty, but now has to punt on 4th and 2. Logan Piper kicking it deep. Wilson backing up, and the fair catch made around the 8-yard line. 48-yard punt, no return, no score early on in Atlanta.
Memories of that game a year ago and that comeback to beat Baylor in dramatic fashion.
Florida State's 2nd possession went 3 and out on its opening drive. This drive will start on the 9-yard line. Play fake for Maguire, in trouble, and Maguire's pass is pulled in at the 30-yard line. Rudolph is free down the sideline. Into Houston territory, knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
You want to throw the ball down the field on a deep out, you better have good protection, and Houston brings a blitz from the outside with a secondary player. It's picked up perfectly by the offensive line, giving Sean Maguire time to wait on that deep breaking out route.
51-yard pass play. Jimbo Fisher showing some trust in his quarterback, letting him throw it down there with all the pressures that Houston brings. And he delivered. He'll throw it again here. Whitfield, grab, and hog tie. Tackled by Trayvon Stewart.
Just a little bit of a limp leg there by Travis Rudolph. That's Will Jackson, the best defender in the back end for Houston, and made him look silly.
Well, they have 3 receivers that are all pretty good for this Florida State team. Rudolph, Whitfield, and Jesus Wilson. Each has over 50 catches on the season. So Will Jackson, Brandon Wilson, the two starting corners will be tested. Here's Cook stiff-arming a defender. Gets to the 35, which is the line of scrimmage. Adrian McDonald on the tackle. Dalvin Cook, you talk about all the great backs there are in college football. It's been a tremendous year for running backs. Derrick Henry, of course, winning the Heisman. Leonard Fournette might be the most talented player overall in college football. Christian McCaffrey, but Dalvin Cook's numbers are right there with all of them. Now, he basically missed 2 full games because of injury.
Well, and none of those guys average per carry what Dalvin Cook averages, just under 8 yards a carry. So there's no question, if not the most explosive back in all of college football, one of the top 2.
Blitz coming, it's picked up. Maguire's pass is high, incomplete. It's 4th and 5. And Florida State, because it has one of the best kickers in the country, Roberto Aguayo, will try a long field goal on 4th down.
And both 3rd down situations Sean Maguire has been in, he's been a little bit confused by the pressure from Houston. An inaccurate throw in the first series, and that time nobody open, threw it away. Lucky that ball wasn't intercepted by the safety.
Aguayo trying a 52-yard field goal. Season long is 51. He's made his last 8 attempts. Now, they tried a long field goal earlier this year against Georgia Tech. It got blocked on the final play and returned for a touchdown as the Seminoles lost that game. This kick is short. No good.
Looked like Aguayo had a little bit of an issue with the footing. Looked like he went down, Dave. Tried to get a lot into that kick, and I think his foot just came out.
American Athletic Conference Championship game, beating Temple. And they finished 12-1, second time in team history. 7 of their wins were by 21 or more points, number 2 in FBS, so they blew a lot of teams out as well. After the missed field goal, Houston takes over on its 36-yard line. They had Ayers lined up in the backfield. They will hand it to him, but now he flexes out wide. Penalty marker down. Movement, a lot of shifting and motions.
73 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
Right now, Houston a little bit, and Greg Ward, he's trying to get into the right play and out of a bad one based off of Florida State's defensive looks. You see number 8, Jalen Ramsey, is going to be the bottom of your screen. He keeps hinting that he may come on a corner cat and blitz off the edge, and it's forcing Greg Ward to switch things up. That runs the clock down, takes them out of their element.
Yeah, they have not seen a player like Jalen Ramsey this year. They're going to throw it to the opposite side to Ayers. Nice move by Ayers, and he is past the 40-yard line. So he gets about 11 yards on that play, brought down by Reggie Northrup. When you think about what Houston did last year, they lost 5 games. They go to Tom Herman, who had not been a head coach before, but has some ties to the state of Texas. As that pass is incomplete, trying to set up the screen to Jackson. Herman finishes 3rd AP Coach of the Year voting, with Dabo Swinney winning the honor. He told us yesterday he had opportunities to leave, but he didn't want to start over elsewhere again. And he likes the commitment they made, not just to him financially, but to the program overall. 1st down carry for Ryan Jackson to the Florida State 45. 14-yard run for the senior Jackson.
Well, when you throw the ball back-to-back times to the perimeter, then FSU takes their linebackers out of the middle of the field, and it opens up for Jackson.
This is what they want here, Grease. Up-tempo, fast as possible. Jackson between the tackles. Demarcus Walker on the stop.
Yeah, we were talking with Tom Herman and Major Applewhite last night. They said we have got to get the advantage by going as fast as humanly possible in this game to tire out a talented defensive front for FSU.
Well, they have fresh legs at running back because guys are back. Were injured during the season. Toward the sideline, it's a 1st down catch for Chance Allen. Wrapped up inside the 30 by Brutus.
And a great decision there from Greg Ward. They tried to pump the tunnel screen and get a deep ball down the middle of the field. It wasn't there, so Greg Ward doesn't panic, just goes back to his original tunnel screen and gets a big gain.
Here's Jackson again. Man, they are winning the battle at the line of scrimmage. There was a point where Brandon Wilson, a cornerback, was switched to running back 4 days before the Navy game. He rushed for over 100 yards. Jackson was out with a collarbone injury, but he is back out there in this game. Here's Ward. The pass is high for Ayers. Oh, he had a man downfield near the goal line. Would have been an easy touchdown. Dunbar, as Florida State lost him.
Now, this last 5 or 6 play series, Dave, Florida State has not had their best defensive lineman on the field, Niall Lawrence Stample, and I think that's a big reason why Tom Herman wanted to go so fast to keep him off the field, but he's on now.
Big 3rd down and 3. Ward 18-2 career record as Houston's starting quarterback. Ward finds running room and has the first down before he takes a seat at the 16-yard line. Smart play.
Well, Charles Kelly decides to bring a blitz off the edge with Javian Elliott, the nickel, and it just opens up a huge lane for Greg Ward. You can't, I know you want to get to the quarterback with a guy like this, with that athleticism, you can't leave lanes that wide open.
Ward's pass pulled in by Ayers. Ayers hurdles the defender Javian Elliott, scoots out at the 10-yard line. That's 6 more yards. Ayers came in with 89 catches on the season, good for 6th in the country. 10th play of the drive coming up. They're inside the 10.
This is the area of the field where Greg Ward has been so effective. 19 rushing touchdowns on the year.
Jackson plowing forward will come up short of the first down by a yard. It'll be 3rd and 1. Niall Lawrence Stample made the tackle for Florida State. Here's Ward on the quarterback run to the end zone. Touchdown, Houston. '20th rushing touchdown of the season for Greg Ward Jr. An impressive drive by the Cougars against the number 5 defense in college football, Florida State. They only give up 16 points per game. Ty Cummings makes it 7-0 Houston.
Every player on this Houston offense is asked to be unselfish. This time Carter Wall, the right tackle, and Ryan Jackson, the running back, gets the block to spring Greg Ward to the...
Impressive drive by Houston. Very balanced. 6 rushes, 5 pass plays. Greg Ward with his 20th rushing touchdown. He's accounted for 36 touchdowns this year. Here's Kermit Whitfield, had a good return to start the game, and he's past the 20-yard line. A flag is down. Run out of play at the 26-yard line by Garrett Davis. The flag down at the 17. Did you see him shove Jalen Ramsey?
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 18 of the receiving team, half the distance to the goal, first down.
Ramsey thought he was blocked in the back on the play by Houston, but it was actually his teammate that shoved him into a defender to open up a hole. Presented by Northwestern Mutual, Stanford, Iowa. You and I will call that game on ESPN Radio. Sugar Bowl at night, Oklahoma State and Ole Miss, the All-State Sugar Bowl. As you look at Times Square in New York City, New Year's Eve. Don't forget Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve on ABC tonight. Florida State takes over inside its 10. And off play action, Maguire throwing it downfield, and it's pulled in at the 35. Izzo is out past the 40. Boy, that's twice now Florida State has started a drive inside its 10 and thrown the ball down the field with success.
We'll go back and take a look at that touchdown. Florida State defensively was in good shape. Take a look at the tackle, Wall and Jackson, that get the 2 key blocks that spring Greg Ward to the second level. Tom Herman, Major Applewhite are going to find ways to get Ward into the second level with the football. They did it 3 or 4 times on that 11-play drive for a touchdown.
Florida State, after Good play on the first drive. Another pass. This one way off the mark by Maguire. Tried to hit Whitfield. 2nd and 10.
No, Brian, if you look at the previous 2 series for Houston, including that touchdown drive, when Houston was trying to get cute and trying to account for everything Florida State was doing, they had 2 false start penalties. When they just decided to line up and play, run their offense, get to tempo, that's when things started clicking. They controlled the personnel on the field for Florida State. It's about not worrying about what the Seminoles do. Do what you do if you're the Houston Cougars.
That's a great point. You know, Tom, we were talking with Tom Herman. He said if we're ever going to be static and not go super fast, we're going to have a magic show. A lot of things happen in the backfield.
Speaking of a magic show, got a trick play on the reverse. Here's Wilson. And a great open field tackle. Wilson didn't get much. It's Brandon Wilson, who's back at corner starting after being moved to running back late in the season, making the play.
You could argue that the last 3 games of the season, Brandon Wilson's been the most valuable player for the Houston Cougars. You mentioned the Navy game. He started at halfback, only 3 days of practice, but they needed him on the defensive side in this game for that reason. He's one of the better tacklers from the back end.
And so Bobo Wilson shaken up, and so a timeout called by Florida State. I'm impressed so far with the Houston defense. We talk about Tom Herman and the offense, but what they've done to Dalvin Cook so far, just 3 rushing yards. Florida State 10-2 record. They started 6-0. That loss against Georgia Tech on the blocked field goal for a touchdown at the end of the game. They lose at Clemson 23-13. Dalvin Cook, though, one of the most explosive players in the country. He led all FBS players with 26 plays of 20 yards or more, but he has not found any room to run so far in this game.
Oh, you know what's amazing is he was able to have such a great year with 4 new starters on the offensive line. They lost Cam Irving, Trey Jackson, and Bobby Hart off that offensive line from a year ago, all drafted, and Dalvin Cook has had to really find those holes on his own this year.
3rd and 5 for Maguire. Dumps it off to the fullback, Freddie Stevenson. First down to the Houston 40-yard line. A 13-yard pickup. Good job by Maguire to just check it down. 9 catches now for Stevenson on the year.
Maguire is going to have to make plays like this in this game if Florida State wants to win. Clearly, Houston is going to focus on Dalvin Cook. The passing game is going to be there for Sean Maguire. He has to go through his reads. That time a check down nets a first down.
Only a 6th career start. And he didn't start this year until October 31st. Everett Golson transferred from Notre Dame. But he is done. He did not make the trip to Atlanta for personal reasons. Dalvin Cook. And he gets walloped in the backfield. Elandon Roberts, one of the best players at any position in the American Conference, made the hit. That's 2 tackles for a loss now for those Houston backers on Cook.
Watching film of Houston's defense, you cannot help but see number 44. He's a heat-seeking missile from the linebacker spot. Look at that. I mean, he's not big. He's only 6 feet tall, 235 pounds. You know, they didn't think he was much of anything 2 years ago. He didn't play a whole lot. But when this coaching staff came in and Todd Orlando took a look at Elandon Roberts and he bought into this system, he's become the unquestioned leader.
Maguire hit, throws it up for grabs, and it is caught. Rudolph shoves the defender and is out of bounds inside the 10. Cameron Malvo was right in the face of Maguire, but he completed it to Rudolph for 31 yards.
And Lee Hightower has to make that play. That ball is up in the air way too long. Hightower, one of those 3 safeties that play a lot in the secondary for Houston. There's plenty of time for him to get over there and make that play. A missed opportunity.
First and goal for Florida State. Dalvin Cook averaging a half a yard per attempt. He'll get it here on the stretch. And another violent tackle on Cook. This one by Taylor. Taylor and Roberts with 35 combined tackles for loss on the year. They hit hard.
Looked like Will Jackson came in too from that corner spot. In fairness to Dalvin Cook, his legs were wrapped up by Taylor, and then Jackson was able to tee off on him.
2nd and goal from the 8. Maguire to the air. Everybody covered. And Maguire's pass incomplete. Jesus Wilson is back on the field after being shaken up. And now Sean Maguire, speaking of being shaken up.
Yeah, he held on to that ball till the very end, and he's in a lot of pain on the sideline trying to make a play. Gets rid of it late. Oh goodness, and that looked like he came down so hard on that left foot, Dave. Hopefully that's not an Achilles injury.
It was Matthew Adams on the hit. Remember, we just said Everett Golson's not here, so J.J. Cosentino, a redshirt freshman from Lower Borough, Pennsylvania, who did play in a couple games this year but has thrown only 6 passes. He'll go in for now as the Florida State athletic training staff continues to look at Maguire.
Maguire was not able to put any weight on that left foot. I just hate to see that for a guy like Sean Maguire that's had to wait so long, 4 years. Sat behind E.J. Manuel, sat behind Jameis Winston, sat behind Jake Coker, Clint Trickett. Then he had to sit behind Everett Golson, who comes in, and now he finally.
Sean Maguire hung around, waited his opportunity. But right now, J.J. Cosentino has to step up for the Seminoles. They've got a 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line. Again, just 6 passes thrown on the season for Cosentino, a redshirt freshman. Cosentino gets hit as he throws. It's caught, but short of the goal line. They'll mark it at the 3 as Wilson makes the catch. It's 4th down from there. We'll see what Jimbo Fisher does. Missed a field goal on the last possession, but that was a longer attempt. Aguayo is perfect throughout his career from this distance, and so they'll take the 3-point.
Oh, Jimbo Fisher has his work cut out for him now, because you practice, you get ready for a month with Sean Maguire, and this is a very difficult defense to prepare for. A lot of different looks and blitzes, and J.J. Cosentino maybe has had 15 to 20% of that preparation time, and you go into this situation, and they're going to have to rely even more on Dalvin Cook as this game goes on.
A 20-yarder, as it looked like Aguayo maybe slipped again, but he put that through, and Florida State is on the board.
We are Battlefront.
Take us with you wherever you go, on your phone or tablet. Watch the college football playoff semifinals later today. This game will host the semifinals next year on New Year's Eve.
And the championship game the year after that in the new stadium being built right next door.
Aguayo kicking off, and this will end up being a touchback. There's a penalty marker down where Florida State kicked off from. (7-3) Cougars lead. 37 seconds on the clock here in the opening frame. Houston representing the group of 5 conferences. The highest ranked group of 5 makes it to a New Year's 6 game.
Offside on the kicking team. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the touchback spot. It'll be 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line.
All right, here's Tom with the latest on Sean Maguire.
Well, it's taking him inside the locker room in the cart. And right now, and hold on just 1 second, guys. Got it. I'm just talking to the SID and the support staff here at Florida State. They're going to get to me immediately when they have some answers. They're doing a pretty serious examination of him right now. And if you saw him going off the field, you could tell he was able to put no pressure on that left leg.
Houston ball now, 1st down. And Ward on the rollout, dumps it off, and incomplete. Intended for Jackson. He couldn't hang on. He had LaMarcus Brutus draped over him. So it's 2nd and 10.
Well, Dave, this defense for Florida State is the only defense in college football that did not give up 25 points or more at any point during this season. They have been dependent on all year. The offense has been inconsistent. They just saw their starting quarterback go down with an injury. It doesn't look like he's going to return. This defense has to step up. They've got 5th-year senior leaders speckled throughout this defense. It has to be their time to step up.
Ward hands it off to Jackson to the 39-yard line, or 34-yard line, 4-yard pickup. Charles Kelly, he took some heat last year when they had a lot of players on defense that are in the NFL. Fans were upset with him, but boy, this year with maybe players who aren't as talented other than Jalen Ramsey, they've almost doubled their sack total. They've been great in the red zone. And They've only given up 7 rushing touchdowns all season coming in. Of course, Greg Ward on the only touchdown in this game.
That is the end of the first quarter.
And when we start the second quarter, it'll be a 3rd and 6 for Houston. The Cougars in front after 1.
Are up to $1,500 year-end event cash and no payments for 90 days. Hurry in today.
Start of the second quarter at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta. 7-3. Houston leads Florida State. And executives from Chick-fil-A and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl presented the presidents of both universities with $100,000 scholarship checks earlier today. These endowed scholarship donations bring the Bowl's all-time total to more than $4 million in endowments. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl continues to be college football's most charitable bowl game with $18 million in contributions since 2002. 48-year-old bowl game, only the 7th time we've had 2 top 20 teams squaring off. Number 18 Houston with possession, a strike thrown by Ward on 3rd and 6, and they pick up the first down to Demarcus Ayers.
This is the matchup that Houston wanted. Demarcus Ayers on Javian Elliott. Elliott's a walk-on senior for this Florida State defense, but he is the weak link in coverage, and you get your best wide receiver matched up for a 3rd down conversion.
Design quarterback run, and Ward stumbled at the 42. He had Kenneth Farrow, a 220-pound back, in front of him helping to block.
Which I'm not sure that Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator from Florida State, doesn't have to start thinking about taking his best cover guy, Jalen Ramsey, and matching him up in the slot on Demarcus Ayers. Remember, Ramsey's played that position a lot last year and the year before, so not like he hasn't done it before.
Maybe you press Ayers, try to reroute him. Not a big receiver, only 190 pounds. Off play action, Ward flipping it downfield. The receiver went out of bounds. Chance Allen. So it'll be 3rd down and 9 for Houston.
We see a little bit of a slower tempo from Houston. They were so successful in that 11-play drive. And Greg Ward is looking to the sideline saying, let's go. I want to go faster. Give me the play in faster.
A screen that's deflected and picked off. DeMarcus Walker with the interception. Josh Sweat tipped it at the line of scrimmage.
Trying to get the ball to Demarcus Ayers on a tunnel screen, and Josh Sweat gets a hand on it, and a great reaction from DeMarcus Walker to get his hands under that football. This defense has made these plays consistently this year. You have an injury on offense, things aren't going your way, momentum is about to change, and this defense consistently has bailed this Florida State team out.
And so the offense back on the field. We have just been told that it's a lower leg injury for Sean Maguire. He is being evaluated still, and his return is questionable. So redshirt freshman J.J. Cosentino back out there on quick change. Cosentino gets hit, and he's sacked. Matthew Adams greets him in the backfield for a big loss.
Well, you think that this Houston defense was aggressive and loved to blitz coming into this game? You put a new, fresh quarterback out there that's got no experience, it's like blood in the water for sharks. Cosentino is going to see consistent pressure from Todd Orlando on this Houston defense.
Loss of 9 after that sack. Another pass play. Cosentino going to get sacked again. Well, where's Dalvin Cook? How do we all get him involved? Tyus Bowser, and he just lost his helmet. He's going to have to come out for a play. The next guy in would be Lucas Clark, a walk-on from Florida, a redshirt senior. They don't want to burn the red shirt of DeAndre Francois, talented true freshman, so Clark is going to come in for this 3rd and 22.
Oh, he can take a timeout. Jimbo Fisher can buy his quarterback back in.
Yeah, which is what he's going to do, it looks like. Although Clark was ready. He had his helmet on. Timeout FSU. Both games on ESPN. And streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. So Florida State burns a timeout to keep J.J. Cosentino on the field after he lost his helmet. 3rd and 22.
It's a good timeout here just to get the completion, maybe to get 5 or 6 yards, maybe 10 yards. You break a tackle and let Roberto Aguayo attempt a field goal.
Cosentino's pass is incomplete. Not on the same page there with Whitfield.
Well, J.J. Cosentino comes to this program from the state of Pennsylvania. When they took him, he was your big pocket passer that they knew wasn't going to be an overly mobile guy. Well, what's happened now when you're in a situation like this with Everett Golson no longer in the picture, Sean Maguire injured, you've lost a level of athleticism, and now you go to an immobile pocket guy who's indecisive. And the Achilles heel for this offense for Florida State has been their offensive line. That's not a good recipe right now, particularly with Dalvin Cook not being able to get on track.
We always love having Tom Luginbill with us. In this kind of game, we really love having Tom Luginbill with us. The only guy in America that knows who J.J. Cosentino is outside of Tallahassee.
I was looking for a Lucas Clark breakdown.
That could be coming. You've been leading 7-3. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. 1st and 10 from the 10. And they hand it off to Kenneth Farrow. He's out to the 13-yard line, picking up 3 yards. Farrow back after missing the last 2 games with an ankle injury. Houston trying to go fast. They did slow it down in that last possession. It's Farrow again, and he's met by Demarcus Walker, standing him up at the 16, and a couple yards there brings up a 3rd down.
And back-to-back plays on the inside to Farrow. You know, talking with Tom Herman, he likened Farrow to Carlos Hyde, the Ohio State back he had in their first year there. Very similar styles.
He doesn't get the 1st down here. 3 straight carries for Farrow. He comes up short, 4th and 1. Got to punt it if you're Houston, right? They're keeping their offense out there.
Yeah, I think he's going to punt this football. Doesn't want to, but he's got to punt it. And it was kind of interesting talking with Herman. He said it's kind of uncanny, the resemblance of some of the pieces he had here at Houston to what he had that first year at Ohio State. We mentioned Hyde. We had Philly Brown at that slot position where Demarcus Ayers is really playing. And then the quarterbacks are almost identical athletes that had switched from other positions. Braxton Miller obviously wasn't a great passer when he first started playing the position. And Greg Ward, obviously a very similar athlete to Braxton Miller.
Logan Piper, the punter. Florida State setting up the return. It's a short kick, and it checks up. Florida State's going to have the ball near midfield. That'll certainly help an inexperienced quarterback. Only a 33-yard punt. J.J. Cosentino goes back to work. Personal reasons, did not join the team in Atlanta, so it's J.J. Cosentino's show for now. Freshman from the Pittsburgh area, Lower Borough, Pennsylvania. 1st down near midfield, and that one nearly intercepted. Broken up by Trayvon Stewart. Everett Golson had a pretty solid year, threw only 3 interceptions.
He had a solid year, but it was shaky, Dave. You know, it's hard to come in and learn a new offense in less than a year's time. This is a very complex offense that Jimbo Fisher likes to run. And watching tape on Everett Golson, he didn't know the whole offense. And I was supportive of the switch to Sean Maguire, and I know that as you see Dalvin Cook still not able to get anything going, but the move to Sean Maguire was the right move for Jimbo Fisher, and at the right time, I believe. And now he's in a little bit of a pickle because Everett Golson's not available and Sean Maguire's out. And Cosentino has no experience, but they can't get the football going with Dalvin Cook. You've got to find a way to get number 4 touches.
There's a death in the family for Everett Golson. We were not told that there was any other reason as to why he decided not to join the team here in Atlanta. 3rd and 13 for Cosentino. Unable to help their quarterback with a run game. Again, Cook, a guy that's among the nation's leaders in yards per attempt. And the play clock down to 1. They just get the play away. Cosentino, as it incomplete, tried to hit Wilson. Another pass that was not on target. Wilson had stopped running his route, and that pass was off line.
I mean, you have a new quarterback in, and something as simple as how you tell the center to snap the football is tough. You see Cosentino is trying to clap to get the football, but the center's looking at his foot, and Cosentino's clapping instead of using his foot, and that's why the football didn't come up. There's a lot going on between inside the helmet of J.J. Cosentino right now.
Just surprising that they can't block. I mean, Florida State has some new pieces on the O-line as this punt will sail deep into the end zone. But they were blocking for Cook all year in the ACC, but they cannot find any running lanes at all for Cook that would help out their quarterback. Game, E.J. Manuel came in and led Florida State to victory. J.J. Cosentino looking to do the same thing for Florida State. But can the defense get the ball back? Greg Ward has been effective. He's got a rushing touchdown in this game, the 20th of his brilliant season. They bring Ayers into the backfield. Ward, though, will throw the ball. Has a ton of time. Letting it fly. Incomplete. Flag down. Dunbar was impeded by Marquez White. He couldn't get to that ball because White was preventing him.
Like Dunbar wanted to run a post route, and Marquez White just so physical on the outside.
Number 27, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Again, this is legal as long as the ball's not in the air, but the ball's in the air now, and they're still over there pushing and shoving.
That's his second penalty.
Face mask there, yeah, too, Dave.
He had that penalty on the first drive that was after the play that allowed Houston's drive to continue. Wow, Sean Maguire running back onto the field. He's got a boot on that left foot.
Good tape job. I think he still has his cleat on.
Ward in trouble, leveled and sacked. Josh Sweat got a deflection on a pick earlier with the takedown, -8 yards. And you're right, that is just a heavy tape job. It looked like a boot when he came out, but it's just tape, and he's warming up. Wow.
I think it doesn't mean something to number 10 right there. You wait that long, if you have any chance of coming out and playing in this game, you are not going to let that chance go by. So it's good to see that number 10's back out.
Second down and 16 after the sack. Ward again with time. And the pass incomplete. Dunbar coming over the middle, took a shot. He's shaken up. Had Derwin James back there in coverage. James, a true freshman. He didn't start till mid-season against Louisville, but he has become one of the best defensive players in the ACC, not just on this Florida State team. He's a leader.
Yeah, he's the future of this defense. Jalen Ramsey's a tremendous player, but the future of Florida State on the defensive side is number 3, Derwin James.
And the Noles are fired up now when they saw Maguire run out of the tunnel. Here's 3rd and 16. It's a screen and incomplete. There was contact on the back. Chance Allen. Nope. Flag is thrown. It's 4th down.
Nate Andrews has really grown into that nickel position. He was a safety, and then when Derwin James came onto the scene, they moved him down to the nickel position. He was a physical safety. Got in the throwing lane of that tunnel screen and broke up the 3rd down conversion attempt.
So Piper to punt. Wilson is deep. The last punt for Piper went for only 33 yards. The fair catch signal made. It's pulled in at the 30. Let's check in with Tom.
Well, right now, this Florida State crowd erupted when Sean Maguire ran back on the field. He went right up to Jimbo Fisher, said, "Put me in, I'm good to go." Now, as you look at the left ankle, it looks like it's just heavily taped up. It's not. There's an apparatus of some sort, whether it's a brace or an air cast underneath that, an Iron Man looking thing that's keeping that ankle stable for him. He seems to be running fine. There is no noticeable limp. And the best thing going for Florida State is they at least have a quarterback now that knows where to go with the football and get the ball out of his hand.
It's amazing the kid's back after the way that looked when he went down in the first quarter. First down from the 30. They're going to let him throw. Incomplete. And you wonder, Brian, as a former quarterback, when you have a left foot injury, what does that do for you?
Well, yeah, that's the leg that you pivot on. So when you drive off your right foot to throw the football, you pivot around the left ankle and left foot. That's how you get torque on the ball. That doesn't look great. I mean, he ran out there fine, but when you go to throw a football, there's a lot of twisting that happens on that left leg, and that first throw didn't look great either.
Maguire with time. Now the pocket breaks down. That's a covered sack. Stephen Taylor is back there. Back at the 21, a 9-yard loss.
And the reality is that Houston already knew coming into this game that Sean Maguire was going to be kind of a pocket quarterback. And now the fact that he can't move at all, Taylor, Bowser, and others, Todd Orlando knows exactly where the quarterback and the target is going to be on every single throw, and he can dial up the blitzes to get there.
First year as the defensive coordinator, came from Utah State, where he was for a couple years. He replaced Dave Aranda. Aranda's at Wisconsin. They had the best defense in college football this year in terms of fewest points allowed, as we have a timeout. Play clock was down to 1. Orlando was a player at Wisconsin and interviewed with Tom Herman in Columbus when they were preparing for the national championship last year when Herman was at Ohio State. And boy, we weren't sure how this was going to go. You never know in these bowl games. Florida State, with a lot of players that were in a national title game and a playoff game last year, would there be energy and enthusiasm? How much would they care? Now they're going for 50 wins for their senior class, so it does mean something for them. But boy, Houston is better than a lot of people thought on both sides of the ball.
Well, they certainly are. That would have been, by the way, the 50th win would have been the first time ever that a Power 5 school had done that. Boise State has done it. Ohio State has an opportunity to do it. Alabama has an opportunity to do it this year. But I think Houston has come out and they have held true to what Tom Herman has been preaching. Take your best shot. You got nothing to lose. Come out here, play loose, play fast. You've seen it from them on offense, and especially this defense has gotten after Florida State.
Here they come with pressure again. Maguire in trouble. Throws it downfield. Knocked away, incomplete. And it's Brandon Wilson making the play on Rudolph, who is trying to pull it in.
There was an opportunity there for Rudolph. Would have been a tough catch. But give Brandon Wilson credit. Doesn't interfere with Rudolph. He's just there in good position, despite the fact that he doesn't look back for the football. He wasn't making contact with Rudolph and just played his hands when the ball came down.
Brian, why not continue to try to run the football if you're Florida State, given the injury to Maguire? He comes out throwing on all 3 downs. You got to figure at some point Cook is going to break a tackle and make a play.
Yeah, well, what Houston is doing is they are dedicating secondary players to Dalvin Cook. They have no focus or worry about throwing the football.
Here's Ayers. One cut and go. Past the 40. Ayers into FSU territory. Penalty marker down back at the 35. And the punter, Beatty, who made the tackle, is injured. Going to try to walk it off here. This will likely come back. Flag was thrown at the 35.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 80 receiving team, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, Dave, you asked me, why don't they just keep handing it to Dalvin Cook? Take a look. This is what Houston is doing. They are focusing secondary players on number 4, as they should. Up front, they're keeping leverage, and on the back end, Landon Roberts, Taylor, the linebacker position, all they're doing is focusing on not allowing Dalvin Cook to get big plays. This time, Adrian McDonald from the safety position comes up, and then Trevon Stewart 2 times from the nickel spot. He's not worried about going downfield to cover. He's just beating a block and getting into the backfield on Cook.
Jackson out of the backfield. Oh, he gets walloped by Erwin James at the 31, but it's a 6-yard pickup.
As good as Dalvin Cook has been this year, you can see he's been the most explosive back in all of college football. Todd Orlando knows he's going to take away what you do best. Sean Maguire has to complete some balls downfield to open up those lanes.
Ayers picks up the first down, pushed out by James. Well, you know, the Houston coaches said we can't just line up toe-to-toe, win the battle at the line of scrimmage all day against this team, but they have.
Well, they've done it creatively. They have done it creatively. Tom Herman understands, at least on offense, a lot of the yards have been on the perimeter, not in between the tackles. So it's been a great game plan from Houston so far.
Jackson hit by Elliott for a loss on the play of 1.
Well, this is the first series we've actually seen Houston go back to a high-tempo offense since the touchdown drive. You're seeing them shuffle around, and what they're doing is they're trapping Florida State's personnel on the field. They're not swapping personnel on defense, and that's how they had so much success early on. They've got to continue this tempo if they want to continue to keep Florida State on their heels.
And guys, they got Ramsey now shadowing Ayers as Jackson breaks a tackle and is into Florida State territory to the 44. That's a 16-yard run for Jackson.
And you get these big chunk plays, and Houston wants to ramp that tempo, as Tom said. You mentioned Jalen Ramsey now tracking with Demarcus Ayers. What that did is it took him out of his corner position, and that allowed for Jackson to get a big gainer to the outside.
There's Brandon Wilson on the carry, picking up 4.
So much was made of this matchup coming into the game athletically. Are there mismatches? Can Houston hold up? Well, the great equalizer for that is tempo. The less you tempo if you're Houston, the more you play into Florida State's strengths. Tom Herman knows that. It's good to see them get back to doing that, because regardless of what's happening with Florida State on offense, guys, if Houston keeps the football, they've got a lead. They get some more points on the board. Now they take momentum into the locker room here as you head into halftime.
And one of Florida State's best defensive players, Lawrence Stample, just went to the sideline because he lost his helmet. He's got to come out from one play. And so DeMarcus Christmas, a freshman, comes in on that defensive line. 2nd and 6 for the Cougars. Ward will throw. Out of the backfield is Wilson. He's inside the 30, near the 20 before he's drilled by James. But Brandon Wilson, a dynamic player. He's the only player in college football over the last 10 years to have multiple touchdowns in a single season on offense, defense, and special teams.
I really think outside of Greg Ward, he's the most valuable player on this team for Houston in the last 3 weeks of the season, because he has shored up that injured running back position, and he's also made plays today at the corner position, big plays down the field.
We saw the speed on their last offensive play. They're in the red zone now, and here comes a reverse and a reverse pass. Ayers to the end zone, wide open man, touchdown, Chance Allen. Demarcus Ayers with his 2nd passing touchdown of the season. And what timing by Major Applewhite and Tom Herman to call that play.
What timing, what a throw. I mean, I thought he was going to throw the ball to the outside of the field, but he throws it back across his body to the middle of the field. Unbelievable throw from Demarcus Ayers. You knew coming into the game, Dave, that Houston was going to let it all hang out, all the tricks out of the bag, and certainly that one paid off.
DirecTV takes you inside the drive as we take a look at that last touchdown.
Watch Ayers as he comes around. He has to throw this football back across his body. He's going to come from right here, and he's going to look like he's going to throw the ball out here, but this is where the football's going. I think it fooled Florida State defensively. Chance Allen just becomes wide open. Everybody's so focused on Greg Ward on the wheel route. But take a look from this perspective. I think he had a read there. He was going to throw the football first to Greg Ward, and Chance Allen was his 2nd option. And I think in mid-stroke, he says, well, I can't throw it to Ward. I'm just going to heave it back to the middle of the field.
A no-look pass. Well, Derwin James lost him. So did Marquez White. Chance Allen ran right by him. Allen, a transfer from Oregon. His 5th receiving touchdown of the season. Seven plays, 75-yard drive. The passers were 4 of 4 on that possession. Ward and Ayers. 14-3 Here's Whitfield running it out for FSU. And he can't make it to the 20. Pinned at the 16-yard line. Boy, Houston on special teams been terrific. Keep in mind, Jimbo Fisher has never lost to a non-Power 5 team as the head coach at Florida State. He's blown those teams out.
He's got his work cut out for him, Dave. I think he came into this game. We were talking with him last night, and we were talking about this defense for Houston and all these blitzes and how his team had never seen this many blitzes. And he finished by saying to us, he looked at us and he said, but, you know, they have never seen a running back like we have either. But so far in this game, Houston's had every answer to Dalvin Cook.
And they're going to hand it to Jaquez Patrick, and he'll lose yardage. Elandon Roberts again in the backfield. Nick Thurman as well. So whether it's Cook at 200 pounds or their big back Patrick at 235, they still can't get positive yardage. Minus 16 rushing yards in this game. Cook averages 151 per game. That's third in the country. He's got 1 yard in this game. Second down and 11. They'll try Cook here. No. Lost the ball. Recovered by Houston. A turnover by Florida State. Recovered by Trayvon Stewart.
Momentum is always such a critical part of football, especially in these bowl games. You have time off, you come back, and you see that ball is out before his knee goes down. His hand is on the ground, so that this part is not down because that's his hand, not the back of his hand or his forearm. But if you don't get into a rhythm and you don't have momentum, Dalvin Cook, there's been no holes for him. And all of a sudden, he loses his focus for 1 instant. And it's a critical
on the
error.
field was a fumble recovered by Houston. That play is under further review.
Bring in Doug Rhodes, our rules expert, who is up here in the booth with Brian and I. Did you see the same thing there that Brian did? The ball out just before the knee hit the ground?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Anything other than your hand or foot means you're down. But in this case, that ball has already started to come loose there. Now, that knee from this angle, we can't really see, but I think there was still a little gap in there. It's got to be indisputable before they'll change that. But I think that ball's coming loose before that knee hits.
And so it will be first down at the 17-yard line of Florida State.
You know, a lot of running backs are rhythm and tempo players. And if things aren't going well, if they're not feeling it or getting those cracks and creases, it's hard to continue to pound in there when there's nowhere to run with the football and you lose that focus. And that hasn't been Dalvin Cook all year. You see they've been very good not turning the football over, but that one is going to be costly.
Only 2 yards on 7 carries for Cook. How is it that in the ACC, including teams like Clemson, Florida State can run the ball, but they can't today?
The ruling on the field stands. First down.
I think the obvious answer is that this Houston defense has been overlooked all year. This is an outstanding defense. Everybody's talked about Tom Herman and the offensive side of the ball and Greg Ward and Demarcus Ayers. This defense, watching them on tape, and I studied the last 4 games of the year, they have been the most valuable unit on this team for Houston, no question.
They're looking to go up by 18 here late in the first half. Swing it out to Gage. Good play by Derwin James. Gain of 2. And you'd have to think with Sean Maguire not 100%, Florida State's inability to run the football so far, they get down 18. This is a different offense than it was under Jameis Winston the last couple of years. They have talent, but they don't have the firepower that they had on those 2 great teams the last 2 seasons. And again, Florida State only gives up 16 points per game. They've already allowed 14. Second and 8. Here comes another reverse, and Ayers inside the 10, and he has a first down. It'll be first and goal near the 5.
I think it's very smart that Tom Herman continues to stretch to the perimeter. He's not saying, "I'm just going to run in between the tackles. You got to get to the outside."
Here's Ward heading to the end zone. His second touchdown. They made it look easy against that Florida State defense.
This is an offense that they make the numbers work for them. Yes, the tempo has a big impact. They keep big defensive linemen on the field. But with a quarterback as mobile and as fast and elusive as Greg Ward, a playmaker like Demarcus Ayers, they are going to make the numbers in their favor. And that's what happened on that touchdown.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. They have given up fewer than 25 points in every game. The only team in the country to do that, Florida State, had already 21 points allowed here today.
Well, you watch. If you're going to come out, you're going to get 2 lead blockers here, and you're going to pull an offensive line. You got 3 lead blockers to a soft edge. I mean, that's just fundamental football 101. Right now, Houston, the coaching staff and the players are out coaching and out executing the Seminoles.
Again, the only loss for Houston this year, a game in which Greg Ward did not start. He was injured, suffered a leg injury in their win against Memphis. Didn't play well in that game, but he didn't start the Connecticut game. Otherwise, it was a perfect season for this Houston squad. And you think about all the talent that Tom Herman has coming back. Again, he told us that he didn't want to just take a job and leave after 1 year and then go try to rebuild a program again so quickly. They stepped up. They almost doubled his salary, gave more money to the assistant coaches, working on facilities, making promises. Now, he may not stay forever, but Houston will take him as long as he's willing to be here.
I mean, you're right. Every year they're going to be coming after Tom Herman. He actually said, $2.5 million would probably keep me. They come back with, say, $3 million, and he gave 200 of that to his staff, which is something that we've seen coaches like Dabo Sweeney and others do. I thought that was a great move by Tom Herman.
This one will go through the end zone. It'll be a touchback. Well, when you make as much as Tom Herman does, you can buy your own grill. And we're not talking about a barbecue. Paul Wall, a famous rapper, I'm told, who went to Houston for 3 years. Herman's got the mold in, and then he's got the grill.
I love it.
Says you love it?
I love it. I love it. They already got it on, it's the game day sign. They've already got it all. I mean, how else? What better way to connect with your players and show that, I can laugh at myself. I can relate. That he's just a regular guy. He's a guy's guy, as you say. And meeting with him and talking with him, he's fun to be around. Obviously, he knows how to coach football. We know that. But he can relate to these players, and that goes a long way.
Has great energy, and we saw it at practice. The players absolutely love him. Maguire looking for someone to throw it to. Heaves it downfield, knocked away, incomplete. Will Jackson broke it up. Brian, I remember 2011, Urban Meyer was on our broadcast crew, and in November he was thinking about going back into coaching, starting to look at assistants. He's on a plane and says, "Hey, I got some Iowa State film. I want you to look at this." Thinking, Iowa State film? Why are you watching Iowa State film? Tom Herman was the offensive coordinator. They had never talked. They didn't know each other. Tom Herman, when he was called by Coach Meyer, actually said, "This really isn't you." He didn't believe it. He had to convince Tom that it was him. And the rest is history. Herman gets that job, and he helps Ohio State win a national title and gets to Houston.
Well, and at the same time that was happening, right, there was a defensive coordinator at UConn by the name of Todd Orlando that was watching this Iowa State offense say, wow, that offense is really dynamic. And Todd Orlando and Tom Herman didn't know each other. And when Tom Herman went to interview Todd Orlando, he said, in 10 minutes, this is my guy. This is who I needed.
It's interesting. So many times in coaching, you see guys that hire people they know or friends, but then you sometimes have coaching situations where it's based on reputation, what other coaches say about a certain guy, and that certainly has worked out here for Houston with Herman and Orlando.
There's no question, and this offense is getting ramped up, and yes, they have averaged 40 points a game this year, but there's no question this first half, the most dominant unit on the field has been this Houston defense. Nobody thought that they could come in and hold Dalvin Cook in check like they have.
And again, they continue to throw the ball on first down. I want to say they've tried to run it on first down twice. We saw play action deep in their own end a couple times. They'll throw it on second down. Maguire throwing it deep, and there's a man open, but it's picked off. It was underthrown. Will Jackson with the interception. Wilson had him beat.
You see Sean Maguire there with his hands out. He thought that he had completed that ball. Travis Rudolph was so wide open down the field. Wilson, that is. He's so open down the field. Will Jackson stops on the play, but Sean Maguire needed to throw that ball about 10 yards further down the field. He would have had a touchdown.
Brian, does it go back to what you're talking about with the left foot and how you pivot off that left foot on those throws?
Certainly he does. But Dave, if I'm Jimbo Fisher on the sideline and I watch this and Sean Maguire thought he had that ball completed, if you can't make that throw, you should not be on the field. That's the bottom line.
We'll see if he goes back to J.J. Cosentino. If he's seen enough of Maguire, just doesn't feel that he's 100%. There's plenty of time for Houston to score again. But a great play in the backfield as Leonard rips Ryan Jackson to the ground. Loss of about 7 on the play. Look at since they made a field goal in the first quarter, they've run 13 plays and they have minus 24 yards. The fumble by Cook and then the interception by Maguire. Second down and 17. And another big hit. The ball on the ground, it's incomplete. Wow, Javian Elliott torpedoes Donald Gage. A legal hit, no targeting. 3rd and 17.
Well, finally, Florida State now is keen to these bubble screens, and they're coming up. They're not worried about throwing the ball down the field. They are coming up and being physical on the perimeter with these quick throws.
What'd you think of the non-call there for targeting?
That was a bang-bang play.
3rd and 17. The Florida State sideline starting to get fired up, hoping to get the ball back for the offense. Ward stepping up, trying to get outside. The ball deflected and incomplete. Penalty flag down. Marquez White got a piece of the ball. Flag at the 20-yard line. Don Houston.
There is no foul on the play for an eligible downfield. The ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. 4th down.
Look at Charles Kelly trying to fire that defense up, or maybe they fired him up with the way they came out in those first 2 plays. There's still a chance for Florida State to get points going into the locker room. They will have 1 timeout, 3:27 on the clock. Excellent kick. Here's Wilson. Lost his shoe and then lost his lunch. Got drilled by 2 guys back at the 26-yard line. Well, Tom Herman making history this year. Most wins in first season as a major college head coach. George Woodruff at Penn. Walter Camp. The only guy this century, Chris Peterson. 13 wins in 2006. Now Herman is one of only 5 in NCAA history to start a career 10-0. And he can get the 13 wins if they hang on and win this ball game.
Well, you might say, well, he was in the American, but the American this year has been very strong. You look at the way that Navy played this year, Memphis, the way Memphis performed in the bowl game, Temple, even the way they played, certainly against Notre Dame. That was a very impressive conference this year.
Now, the postseason hasn't been great in the bowls for the most part. As Cook, that's his best run. It's a 4-yard carry. McDonald on the stop. But at least they hand it off on first down, and now you have some options in a second and medium situation.
Well, if I'm Jimbo Fisher and Randy Sanders, as they kind of work together to call these plays, I'm putting the onus on the quarterback. We're going to run the ball and we're going to give it to Dalvin Cook, but you have to run it into good looks. You can't run it into a blitz. Use your snap count at the line of scrimmage. I need you to help us run the football into premium looks.
Cook again finds a hole, and then it closes at the 34. A 4-yard run, 3rd and short coming.
I can tell you from field level, guys, the last 2 plays of Florida State's offense is the first time that at the point of attack, Florida State has won. And there has not been contact at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield for Dalvin Cook. Rick Trickett, anybody who knows him in college football knows he's a fiery guy. He is going to lay into this offensive line. To Brian's point, you got to run the football, but this offensive line needs to hold the point of attack.
Can they do that here in short yardage? 3rd and 2. It's Cook. And Cook powers to the marker. Looks like he'll be marked just short. 4th down. Matthew Adams on the hit.
Great job by Tom Herman taking a quick timeout to save as much time as he can. Just under 2 minutes here. If, in fact, Jimbo Fisher decides to go for it. You don't take a whole lot of risk in calling that timeout if Jimbo Fisher goes for it, because Florida State offensively hasn't been able to do a whole lot.
We'll talk about whether you think Florida State should go for it in a moment. Don't forget the Buick halftime report is coming up with John Saunders and Danny Cannell in Dallas. Danny's semifinal breakdowns and also the Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year. That was announced at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl luncheon yesterday. What do you do? 4th down and a yard on your 35. You're down 18 points.
Well, logic tells you to punt the football, right? But when you watch this game, you think about how much momentum plays into a game and how putting a game in the hands of your offensive line and your best player in Dalvin Cook, I would go for it in this situation. Jimbo doesn't think the same way that I do, but I would think you need some momentum going into halftime, and you need to get it from your offensive line and your best player, Dalvin Cook.
But if you don't pick it up, Houston probably gets at least a field goal.
Well, you're giving the ball back to them with 2 minutes anyway. They may go down and get a field goal as it is.
I'm not sure Florida State could get the yard.
Well, there's that problem, too.
Beatty's punt is good. Backing up is Ayers. He did signal for the fair catch, and they're going to spot it at the 10-yard line. We're just a couple hours away from the college football playoff semifinals and the Capital One Orange Bowl. Number 4 Oklahoma, number 1 Clemson, followed by Michigan State and Alabama. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Games are streaming live on the ESPN app. Watch ESPN. What do you like in each game?
Well, I'm looking forward to the matchup at Clemson and Oklahoma. You know, my favorite players in college football, Sterling Shepard against Mackenzie Alexander. That matchup, I think, is going to be outstanding. I think Clemson's front 7 will be up to the task against Baker Mayfield and P. Ryan and Mixon. I like Clemson to win that, and then in the nightcap, I like Alabama. I know that Connor Cook's probably the better quarterback, but Jake Coker's going to have premium looks to throw into all game long because Michigan State has to focus on Derrick Henry.
Ward going to run it here on 1st down, and he's out to the 16. Well, plus, we saw Michigan State play in its lone loss. And in that game against Nebraska, yeah, they lost on a questionable play at the end with a receiver. Whether he was pushed out of bounds or went out on his own is still debatable. But that secondary was getting torn apart.
That's the weakness for that team. When you think about Calvin Ridley, I mean, he's come onto the scene, and there's not a guy in the secondary for Michigan State that can guard him one-on-one. And I don't think that Mark D'Antoni is going to change his defense. He's always played that same defense, and he'll play it tonight. I just think there's going to be great opportunities for Ridley and for Coker to make plays.
I'm a little surprised Tom Herman's not being more aggressive here. Just taking time off the clock, not going fast. It is 3rd and 1, but just 2 quarterback runs on 1st and 2nd down. And maybe if they get the 1st down here, then they'll speed it up. They do only have 1 timeout. Ward gets the 1st down and more. Dives to the 28. The clock will stop as they reset the chains with 46 seconds to go.
Great block here by Hayden Daniels, 87. Terrence Smith, he's been run around, run over, and now he's flipped over in this first half. They're getting after the linebackers Northrup and Smith all first half.
Now Ward will throw. As time, the check down man is Jackson out in space. Brought down at the 32-yard line, and now Tom Herman wants to call a timeout, a final timeout with 22 seconds left.
Well, Jimbo Fisher has talked about this team being reliant upon the fifth-year senior leaders, especially on defense, between Giorgio Newberry, Niles Laura-Stample, Tyler Hunter, Terrence Smith. At halftime in that locker room, there's nothing Jimbo Fisher is going to say that's going to motivate this team to come back from this deficit in the second half. It's going to have to be on the senior leadership.
Well, they have made very good halftime adjustments this year. They've only given up 24 third-quarter points all season. So history tells you that they'll come out and play better in the third quarter. But the question is, what about their offense? They can't move the ball on this Houston defense.
Oh, and you have 4 new starters on the offensive line. You know, you get it. You see this right here, 50 wins on the line, something that's never been done before in a Power 5 conference with the schedule that they've played. That's what's on the line. And yes, the seniors have to lead, but the younger guys have to play for those seniors to send them out the right way. But those 4 new starters on the offensive line, Dave, it's the last game of the season. You're no longer new. You've played 11, 12 games. You've got to step up, and you got to start blocking these blitzes from Houston on defense.
2nd and 6 for Houston, out of timeouts. Ball on its 32-yard line, leading by 18 points here in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, kicking off the New Year's 6. Ward stepping up, slinging it over the middle. And a first down to the 42-yard line for Bonner. The clock stops to move the sticks with 14 seconds to go in the half. Their kicker, Ty Cummings, long as 45, so they need to get to around the 30 of Florida State to have any shot, you would think. And again, no timeouts. And Marquez White, a defender for Florida State, lost his helmet. He's got to come out for this play. And they spiked the ball there as the clock started on the ready for play. 12 seconds to go now in the half. So White can come back in for second down.
12 seconds here. You got a chance to throw the ball in the middle of the field to try to get yourself to the 35-yard line or so to attempt that long field goal. If it's incomplete, then you huddle up and dial up your Big Ben Hail Mary play from 43-yard line.
I'll reset the play clock here. Play clock was winding down. Charles Kelly, 3rd year at Florida State, 2nd as the D coordinator. Jalen Ramsey looking to blitz off the edge at the bottom of your screen here on 2nd down. Instead drops into coverage. Ward moving out of the pocket, going to run, heading for the sideline, pushed out by James with 5 seconds to go.
There was nobody open downfield. Surprised there wasn't at least one option in the middle of the field, but they were running out-breaking routes, thinking they may have to get out of bounds to stop the clock. But if you tell your offensive lineman that I'm going to throw the ball in the middle of the field, and as soon as that ball passes you, you sprint to where that ball is down, you can get up there and spike that ball with 12 seconds on the clock. You probably have around 1 or 2 seconds, but that's enough time.
And now at this point, you probably don't have enough time to get a first down, get up there and spike the ball.
No, this
has got to be throw down the field. Florida State's got 3 men back inside its 20-yard line. Ward caught by Ayers. He's tackled, and that's the end of the first half. Terrific showing by Houston in all 3 phases. And they will get the ball to start the second half. Again, Jimbo Fisher, as the Florida State head coach, has never lost to a non-Power 5 school. Let's check in with Tom.
Well, Coach, you've showed us various tempos throughout the first half. When you had that pedal to the floor, it seemed to give them the most trouble. Will you continue that pace in the second half?
Yeah, we have to. We have to go fast to give ourselves a chance on offense.
You come into halftime, you're the underdog in the game, and you're leading. So it doesn't get easier, it gets harder. What's the message about finishing?
Well, the message is don't change. Do what we did in the first half. Play your tails off. and play for the love of the guy next to you, and good things will happen.
All right, Coach.
Thank you.
Look at that. Held Florida State to -6 rushing yards. 21-3 to score at the half. Houston. Moments ago, former Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year award winners in attendance as they announced that Kirk Ferentz is the 2015 winner. Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Rose Bowl tomorrow. Dave Pasch, Brian Griese. Houston's offense was great, Brian, in that first half, on pace for 100 plays and 500 yards of total offense, 3 of 3 in the red zone. But the defense really was the story for the Cougars, and that's our Capital One pivotal performance.
Yeah, they certainly were, and the way that they got after Dalvin Cook is really the story. Dalvin Cook came in, the most explosive running back in college football, averaging 8 yards a carry. But look at some of the defenders. This is Elandon Roberts, the senior linebacker, how they are keying in on Dalvin Cook, not allowing him any area to get going. And then in the passing game, they're bringing those linebackers as well. Tyler this time getting to the quarterback, Cosentino. They are disrupting the rhythm of Florida State offensively. In the second half, Florida State has got to find a way to get Dalvin Cook going in the running game. And I think it has to do with that offensive line up front, diagnosing some of those pressures.
16 yards gained by Cook, but he lost 5. So it's a net of 11 rushing yards for a guy that averages 151. And he rushed for 183 against Florida in the last game of the regular season, but nothing doing against that Houston front. And the Cougars will start on offense here on the third. Aguayo kicking deep. It'll be a touchback. Houston will start on the 25. Here's Tom Luganville.
Well, Coach Jimbo Fisher was extremely optimistic coming out of the locker room. I asked him point blank, is this quarterback, Sean Maguire, healthy enough to operate the offense the way you want it to? He said, absolutely. Their problems, and he made no bones about it, are in the offensive line. He feels fine about the quarterback position, wouldn't have put him back in there. But if they can't establish a line of scrimmage and get Dalvin Cook going, it's going to be a long day in the offensive line for Florida State.
Well, as you pointed out in the first half, you're right there. He's got some apparatus underneath all that heavy tape on his left leg. Brian talked about that's the pivot foot when you throw, and he struggled when he came back from injury. First down on the 25 for Houston. Here's Greg Ward pitching it late, and juggling it is Ayers, and he's taken down for a big loss at the 18 by Derwin James. Great start for the Seminole defense.
Yeah, and if this second half for Florida State is going to go the way that they want it to, it's got to start on defense. That's where their confidence has been all year. It's got to come from leaders like Derwin James, Jalen Ramsey, Demarcus Walker.
How about James has 9 tackles in this game already. The pass is deflected, incomplete, off the hands of Dunbar. So it brings up a third down and 16.
Back-to-back plays. They're loose with the football. A dangerous pitch on the option that time. A deflected pass and inches away from Jalen Ramsey and a pick 6. This third down and long, 3rd and 16. Tom Herman's going to play this safe with Greg Ward.
Houston playing in its first New Year's Six game since 1985. A loss in the Cotton Bowl to Doug Flutie in Boston College. They're in their first Peach Bowl, and there's pressure on the quarterback. Ward in trouble, gets away. And Ward takes off. Steps out well short of the first down. Nate Andrews forced him out. So a 3-and-out for the Cougars to start the third.
Great job by that defense. Nate Andrews lost contain initially, but to get Greg Ward out of bounds and force a punt, that's what you needed if you're Florida State defensively.
Logan Piper punted 4 times in the first half, and a 55-yarder. Jesus Wilson is deep for Florida State. Line drive. Wilson makes the first man miss, but brought down at the 41-yard line. Adrian McDonald on the stop. Can Florida State's offense improve on just 132 yards of total offense and -6 on the ground, the fewest since the first career start for Sean Maguire? That was at Clemson last year. -22 yards in that game.
Luke's talked about talking with Jimbo Fisher that it's got to be this offensive line that steps up, and I agree with that. but it also needs to be this coaching staff for Florida State. They have been outcoached in the first half, no question about it. You got to come up with some answers for this pressure.
And again, they're going to throw it on first down. And in trouble is Maguire, and the pass is incomplete. I mean, if you're not running the ball well, how can you go play action and continue to throw on first down?
Well, Houston is bringing 7, 8, sometimes 9 guys up around the line of scrimmage. They're reacting to Dalvin Cook. The reality is that the receivers for Florida State are having a hard time beating man-to-man coverage as well. Yes, you mentioned each of them has over 50 catches this season. What does that tell me? They've been productive, but there's not a go-to guy like there was last year with Rashard Green. So they've got to find a guy that's going to make a play in tight man-to-man coverage.
4-man rush. Maguire's pass is behind the receiver, incomplete. Whitfield could have caught that. It was behind him. 3rd and 10. Florida State in the first half struggled on 3rd down, 1 of 8, and the Houston coaches said if we can get him in 3rd and long, we got a shot to win this game. That's been the story. They've been in 3rd, medium, long throughout this game.
Here come the Rolodex of pressures from Todd Orlando. Look at it, no defensive lineman in the game. They're just walking around. Where does the offensive line go? It's very difficult, especially for college offensive lines, to deal with this.
Maguire hit as he throws, and a great pass pulled in for first down by Whitfield. Maguire was getting hit as he released that ball, threw it on the money for 14 yards.
Some days you come out to play a game and it's not going to be pretty, and this is the way it's going to be for Sean Maguire. It's not going to be a great pocket in this second half, but you're going to have to stand in there. You only have one leg, and you got to throw the football. That time Whitfield bails him out, but that's the kind of game it's going to be, and we're going to see what kind of guts Sean Maguire has.
The interception he threw was on a deep ball where Jesus Wilson was wide open, but Maguire underthrew it. First time they've been in Houston territory in a long time. And here's Dalvin Cook. Bounces off one defender and gets about 3, but they'll take that right now. At least it's not negative yardage. 2nd and 7. Again, Cook comes in averaging 8 yards a carry. That's number 2 in the country. He's 3rd nationally in yards per game, 5th nationally in rushing touchdowns, and he basically missed 2 games. Missed the full game with an ankle injury, most of another with a hamstring. Here's 2nd and 7. Maguire into traffic. Catch is made by Rudolph. He'll be shortened by about 3 yards, bringing up 3rd down. Roberts and Jackson in coverage there for Houston.
Those might not look like important plays there. Gain of 3, but it brings up a 3rd down and 3.5, 4 yards. And you still have the opportunity and the option to give the ball to Dalvin Cook here. And I think Florida State knows in this territory, it's probably 4-down territory anyway. So got to stay ahead of the chains against an aggressive defense like this.
Picked up 3rd down earlier on this drive on the pass by Maguire on 3rd and long. This is 3rd and 4. Need to get to the 35. Maguire, and it's caught for a first down by Whitfield again. Whitfield in his first 2 years had a combined 16 catches, but with all the departures at receiver, he's become a threat on the perimeter this year.
You see those blitzing linebackers and safeties from the 2nd level. The best way to beat that blitz is to replace them with a wide receiver where their initial alignment was, and that's an inside slant. Easy throw and catch.
See if they go back to Cook here on first down. They will. And Cook gets maybe 2. Actually, I'm going to give him a yard to the 27-yard line. Stephen Taylor on the stop. Taylor, a junior. Roberts, a senior. Those 2 inside linebackers for Houston who continue to make plays either at the line of scrimmage or in the Florida State backfield.
Well, as you watch the rest of this game at home, keep an eye on 44 and 41. And the matchup on the center for Florida State, Alec Eberle, is a redshirt freshman. He's been struggling to block those guys on the 2nd level. Last play was another example.
Maguire to the sideline. It's caught. Rudolph turns it up. Rudolph is down at the 1-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal for Florida State. Lee Hightower saved the touchdown, but a 26-yard pass play.
Well, you asked about that play action, and how can you get play action if you're not running the football? They've run it a couple times this drive with Dalvin Cook, and they come back to the play action, and they find Rudolph open, much like they did the first drive of the football game there.
First and goal at the 1. They got their big fullback in there, Stevenson, in front of Cook. And here's Cook, drilled, pushes forward, in. Touchdown, Florida State. The Noles finally hit Pater. Rushing touchdown for Dalvin Cook, one shy of tying a single-season Florida State record held by Greg Allen. But that drive really was about Sean Maguire. That third down and long conversion pass that moved the ball into Houston territory. Playing with that bad wheel. And Florida State gets a touchdown.
They're playing for their 50th win for these seniors. Jimbo Fisher is going to find out about the medal of this team in the second half.
Stick around for Sports Center at Night with Scott Van Pelt. He'll break down both semifinal games, preview the national championship matchup, ring in the new year with Sports Center at Night after Michigan State, Alabama. Dave Pasch, Brian Gracie, Tom Luganville. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, 48th playing of this game, 7 between top 20 teams. Another touchback. Houston will start on the 25. Florida State struggled in the first half offensively, but we talked at the end of the first half about what a good adjustment team they've been, both defensively and offensively at halftime. And look at their first drive of the third quarter. 59 yards in their first touchdown.
Well, it really was Sean Maguire throwing the football. And with Travis Rudolph getting a big third down to Kermit Whitfield, diagnosing that pressure when those linebackers came in those pressure situations on third down, being ready for it, anticipating it, and then dealing with it and making the play behind it. They're going to come back from this deficit after the first half. Maguire's going to have to continue to play that way.
First adversity that Houston has really faced today, and Greg Ward, how will he handle this situation? Biggest game he's played in, and his school has played in 3 decades. They're going to hand it off. No running room. Jackson grabbed at the ankles by Jalen Ramsey.
Junior quarterback Greg Ward was on the sideline, and head coach Tom Herman came over and gave him a kiss on the side of the helmet. He knows they can't allow this offense to go into hang-on mode. They can't play not to lose. Momentum's shifted. It's up to this quarterback, the leader of this team, to get this offense back up and running.
And they got nothing on first down, Tom. We'll see what Ward does here on second down and 10. Ward will keep it, and he bounces off a defender. Pinballs out past the 30. Now, Kenneth Farrow, who's their big back, who we saw in one possession get the ball 3 straight times. We haven't seen him return. He's a guy that rushed for almost 1,000 yards, but he missed the last 2 games with an ankle injury. Tried to come back, but was ineffective. Now Ward on 3rd and 4, rolling out, and a receiver, Ayers, gets free in the secondary, makes a sliding grab for a first down to the 46, a 15-yard gain.
Great play design from Tom Herman. A quick snap on a 3rd down. Ayers is wide open, and if that ball's thrown in front, he may still be running, but a great job of settling down and securing the catch for the first down.
Now pistol set here. Play fake for Ward, looking deep, and he throws it high, incomplete. Ayers being covered by the true freshman safety, Derwin James.
I like this aggressive approach from Houston offensively. They are not going into a shell. This FSU crowd is into the game. They got the chant going and the war chant and all that, and the pressure is on. The momentum is shifting, and they're not succumbing to this situation. Greg Ward's continuing to be aggressive, throw the ball down the field.
Threw an interception on a screen pass that was deflected. He has 2 rushing touchdowns in the game. Here's 2nd and 10. They bring Ayers in motion, fake it to him, and a long throw caught in Florida State territory by Dunbar. 14 more yards through the air.
They're attacking Jalen Ramsey on the outside. They know how aggressive Ramsey is, how he likes to come up and play those bubble screens. They got him on the pump fake.
Hand off to Ryan Jackson, stacked up at the 39-yard line. Pickup of 1. This defense for Florida State has allowed fewer than 25 points in every game this season. The only team in FBS to do that. The last 2 years, Florida State was good defensively, but not great. It was really Jameis Winston in the offense. This year, it's been the running game of Dalvin Cook and the Florida State D. Second and 9. Quarterback run. Ward gets hit. Took a shot from Terrence Smith. Also Demarcus Walker, great player, junior from Jacksonville, Florida, in there, 3rd and long.
We talked about the adjustments offensively for Florida State, but Charles Kelly right there making his adjustments on the defensive side. His linebackers and secondary, Derwin James, are coming downhill fast into the backfield, trying to take the game to Greg Ward and Ryan Jackson.
They've been better than 50% on 3rd down today. Play clock down to 3. Ward on 3rd and long. And the catch is made by Ayers, fighting for the first down. He'll come up short. Will Houston go for it on 4th down and a yard? They are. They're going to go here. And Florida State not lined up yet. 4th down. Maybe just trying to get Florida State to jump. No, they'll run a play. Ward in trouble. Wrapped up. Loses yardage. Derwin James is there. The Noles take over on down. And then the All-State Sugar Bowl to follow. Another great day of college football on New Year's Day. Don't forget the 2 semifinal games of the college football playoff coming up next. A lot of work to do here, though, in Atlanta. Florida State takes over on downs, just shy of its 40-yard line. Sean Maguire back to work. Hits Rudolph for a short gain, maybe 3 yards.
Back and take a look at that 4th down play right there. That's Derwin James. He's coming off the edge unblocked. Most defenders would not be able to handle that shallow cut. Look at Charles Kelly, the defensive coordinator. You think it doesn't matter to him? Triple fist pump. Fiery defensive coordinator for the Seminoles.
Again, in 12 games, they've given up 24 third-quarter points. Kelly had an option to go to Auburn as the defensive coordinator, elected to stay at Florida State, was in tears and talking about Jimbo Fisher and how much he loves working for him. That's why he stayed. Maguire's pass intercepted. Trayvon Stewart picks it off as there was some confusion between the quarterback and receiver.
They're trying to run a little bit of a snag route there with a flat route and a snag, and there's nobody home. Maguire, great catch by Trayvon Stewart.
It isn't always easy to know where you stand financially.
T, mobilizing your world. And Chevrolet, find new roads.
After Houston turns it over on downs, the Seminoles give it back. An interception by Trayvon Stewart. He also has a fumble recovery today. And Houston starts in Florida State territory. Ward. Down he goes, a loss of 2 on the play.
Go back and take a look at this. They're trying to get the football right here to Travis Rudolph, but that's a linebacker right there. This is a very clear no throw right there. That's an easy interception. That's all on Sean Maguire. He thought that Travis Rudolph was going to go outside. You're trying to force the football, and Jimbo Fisher says, I can't have that. You just can't win games when you make those kind of mistakes. Maguire only had 2 interceptions coming into this game, and he's had 2 already tonight.
So Jimbo Fisher just said no. Tom Herman just said, oh no. Greg Ward is down after being injured on that run. The backup is Kyle Postma, who led Houston to a 20-point fourth-quarter come-from-behind win against Memphis. Started the following week when Ward was injured in a loss, though, against Connecticut. They're still looking at Ward in midfield.
Opportunity,
has no slow season. No off day.
As it kind of gets caught in the turf and then pops out. He got up, walked off on his own power, but very gingerly on the sideline trying to work it out.
So sophomore Kyle Postma from Katy, Texas, helped Houston to a big win against Memphis this year when Ward got injured in that game. He's made some plays. He'll throw it here on 2nd and 12. Excellent play by Brutus, taking down Dunbar. Another negative play.
Well, that game against Memphis, he saved the Houston team, and really, they were not doing anything offensively. They hadn't scored a point. They insert him after Ward gets injured, and they're down 20-0, and he brings them back to win that football game on the road.
He'll roll out here, short throw, and it's going to be a long 4th down here. Dunbar on the catch. 4th and about 8. Houston will likely punt here and try to pin Florida State deep. And Ward with the helmet back on. Good return next series.
Tom Herman's got to feel pretty fortunate that he's had Greg Ward as much as he has this season, that he's stayed as healthy as he had. He missed obviously that one game and part of another, but other than that, only at 185 pounds, he stayed pretty healthy.
Although we shouldn't be surprised, Postma did well when he came in. Tom Herman helped Ohio State win last year with a 3rd-string quarterback. That's going to be down as it checked up. Was hit around the 10-yard line. They'll spot it at the 11. Take a look at the college football playoff bracket presented by AT&T. Coming up in just over an hour from Miami, the Capital One Orange Bowl, Clemson and Oklahoma, followed by the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Alabama and Michigan State. Charles Walker for Oklahoma has announced that he will not play today. Clemson had to send 3 players home. One of those a significant player in their pass game, a receiver. Really, Clemson, one of its deep threats. He will not play in that game.
A lot of pressure on Alabama. Everybody expects Alabama to roll in this game, and that's a tough place to play from, but they have that motivation of what happened last year's semi against Ohio State. I have no doubt that that has been brought up constantly this week by Nick Saban.
They're up 15 points in that game and lost. Dalvin Cook gets loose. Best run by far, 9 yards for Cook before Brandon Wilson makes the tackle. You wonder, Houston is not a huge defense. Are they getting worn down perhaps up front?
Potentially. Keep an eye on the inside run from Dalvin Cook. Jimbo Fisher loves to get in tight sets. You see both tight ends here on this play are in wing sets. They love to run the football from this set.
And they will. Cook straight ahead. And Houston met him at the point of attack. He'll be short. 3rd down. Jared Carter, a redshirt freshman, was in there. But again, these D linemen, you're not talking about a bunch of huge guys up front against a very big Florida State offensive line.
But I like the approach and the change by Randy Sanders and Jimbo Fisher to bring those tight ends in, because you can protect the edge of your formation. Houston has been blitzing off the edges and getting into the legs of Dalvin Cook. When you bring both those tight ends in, you protect the edge and allow your offensive line to come off.
10 in the box here for Houston. And Cook able to power forward and get the 1st down. Boy, it looked like he wasn't. Looked like that hole was going to converge. But he was able to move the sticks. A team, Florida State, that averaged 32 points per game. Ran the ball extremely well without a lot of attempts. They were 13th in the ACC in rushing attempts. So Cook is relatively fresh. He was banged up a couple times during the season. They fake it to him here on 1st down. Maguire airing it out, going for Rudolph, and it's knocked away. Incomplete. William Jackson got a hand up.
And I know that Jimbo Fisher wants to take these shots to Rudolph down the field, but this is the 2nd time the ball's come up short. I don't think that Sean Maguire, with that left ankle taped as heavily as it is, can drive the ball down the field as consistently as he has the last few games. And that's the 2nd time it's been short and almost intercepted.
There's an injured Houston player as well back at the 42-yard line. And it's a guy that really they can't afford to lose. Brandon Wilson, you do so much for them. defense. We haven't seen him a lot on offense. He has been out there a couple times, also as a return man. He'll get help to the sideline. Houston in front by 11 late third quarter. Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator, hoping to get the ball back for Greg Ward in the offense, assuming Ward can return. Holding this Florida State offense to 10 points today, just one touchdown. Maguire with only 10 completions. Now, per completion, he's averaging about 19 yards. They've been getting big plays through the air. Maguire throwing it into double coverage, and it's intercepted again. Trayvon Stewart with another pick. Where was Maguire throwing that one?
This is a product of having to protect the quarterback and pick up blitzes, and that affects your flare control. So take a look. Dalvin Cook has to pick up a blitzing linebacker. Here he is right here. He's going to pick up the linebacker. So there's Dalvin there. He's going to come pick up the linebacker. That's going to leave nobody out here on the outside, and Trayvon Stewart is able to drop right underneath. There's no flare control. The Maguire has to know that, Dave. You got to know that your back's been eaten up, and the integrity of the route is not there, and that's what allows Stewart to back up and make that easy interception.
I could read Jimbo's lips when Sean Maguire came out. He said, "Sean, what are you doing?" Greg Ward is back out there, quarterback, so he's all right. Going to hand it off on first down, and Jackson will lose yardage. Jalen Ramsey, the All-American DB, made the hit.
That's as difficult as it gets, Dave, to know, okay, I'm getting that pressure, and so I have to know that my back is going to be eaten up. Therefore, I can't force that ball down the field because I don't have the proper structure of the route. And that's what Randy Sanders is saying. Listen, you have to know all of that. You have to know what every single player is going to do and then make that decision in real time to protect the football.
But Florida State's defense comes back with a tackle for a loss, putting Houston behind the chains. Second down and 12. Ward swinging it out to Gage. Gets a block from Allen. And Derwin James just throws him out of bounds again at the 48-yard line of Florida State. So it'll be 3rd and 6 for Houston. Houston so good on third down in the first half. Number 7 in the country on the season in third down conversion percentage. Pressure coming by Florida State. Ward steps up, nowhere to go. Ward reversing direction, throws high, incomplete. Tried to hit Jackson. 4th and 6. Houston will punt.
That's a great job by Florida State in a sudden change situation to get the pressure on Ward, to contain him as long as they did. Finally gets out of there, and those defensive backs on the back end were plastered to their receivers for 6-7 seconds. It's very difficult to do.
Florida State, though, has been playing most of this quarter from inside its 20. It's at least the starting field position. Good punt. Fair catch made at the 10 by Wilson. Don't forget, on New Year's Day, 3 more New Year's 6 games. The Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Then at 5, Stanford, Iowa. And the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. At 8:30, the All-State Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma State and Ole Miss. All games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Here at the Peach Bowl, Dave Pasch, Brian Greasy, Tom Luganville, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Turnovers have been a problem today. They weren't at all during the regular season. They run Cook on first down, and he's upended by McDonald. It's a good thing McDonald made that play, otherwise Cook might still be running. There were no other defenders behind McDonald.
Well, we knew something was going to have to break in the turnover battle. You just saw Florida State very good, only 10 lost on the season. But this Houston defense has forced 30 turnovers coming into the game, another 4 in this game. 3 interceptions and a fumble by Cook.
Only San Diego State had a better turnover ratio than Houston did. Cook sandwiched by McDonald and Jackson to bring up 3rd down.
And you can say, well, it's just bad, poor decisions by Sean Maguire. But I beg to differ. It's a defense that dictates to the offense rather than the other way around. They bring that pressure and force you to pick it up. And that's what forced that turnover the last time. They've gotten pressure consistently on Maguire and forced inaccurate throws. It's just a defense by Todd Orlando that refuses to be dictated to. They want them to play the game on their terms.
Play clock inside 5 seconds on 3rd and 3. Maguire will throw, and again not on the same page with the receiver. Rudolph stopped the route, and so it's 4th down. Florida State will have to punt.
Yeah, Jimbo's at his wit's end here now, and part of it is Sean Maguire. Part of it is they're starting to see some different pressures, some different blitzes than they had prepared for, and this is probably the toughest game that Sean Maguire has played in his career, and maybe with Randy Sanders there and Jimbo Fisher, the toughest defense they've had to prepare for. I hope they didn't take him lightly, because this is a defense that, despite the fact they played American, has been outstanding all year.
Ayers backing up, fields it at the 30, and spun down. Decided not to signal for a fair catch and paid for it. Jalen Ramsey down there. So 8 seconds remaining. You didn't get the sense in talking to Jimbo Fisher that they were taking Houston lightly. We were here at practice. It was pretty spirited, and it's difficult. Look, you go to a lot of these young players went to a national championship game on a team that had Jameis Winston, an excellent defense. Last year they go to the semifinals, lose to Oregon. They get blown out in that game against Marcus Mariota. Come back, lose a couple games. You're still in a New Year's Six game, but a lot of these kids used to playing for championships. You wonder how they'd come out. I think they've just been outplayed more than anything.
Yep, outcoached as well.
Ward hit, and another tackle for a loss. Northrop was back there for Florida State. Might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage, but Florida State has been better defensively at the point of attack here in the 3rd. We go to the 4th now. The Houston Cougars leading Florida State by 11. Biggest reason why Oklahoma's in the college football playoff, Baker Mayfield and what he's done for that team at quarterback.
I think it's the toughest test, front 7 defensively, that Mayfield will go against all year in Clemson.
Plus, Clemson has a terrific quarterback in Deshaun Watson. 2nd and 10 for Houston from its 29-yard line. Ward has a completion close to a 1st down to Chance Allen, and they will move the chains for the Cougars here.
That was a big 1st down. Come out of the 3rd quarter change on a 3rd down, and now you can get your tempo going on 1st down.
And a good run on 1st down for Ryan Jackson across the 45.
No, Dave, Brian, you guys were talking about getting a team prepared to play, and, you know, it's difficult when you're supposed to be the perceived favorite. That's where I think the advantages lie. As we see the handoff there up the middle, the advantages lie with Houston coming in. You're a team that's you've won the American Athletic Conference. You've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. All the pressure falls onto the sideline of the Florida State Seminoles, and I think that's an advantage when you allow a team like Houston to linger and get up on you. They gain more and more confidence.
Let's see what happens here on 3rd down. Ward rolling out, and a sliding grab made for a 1st down by Stephen Dunbar. Houston's just making plays. That's the bottom line. They've made more plays on offense than Florida State has in this game.
Yeah, these balls aren't perfectly thrown. We saw one to Demarcus Ayers, very similar. Had to come back and catch the football. That time Dunbar with a great effort. I'm not so sure he caught that football clean.
Ruling in the field is a catch. Has to be indisputable video evidence beyond all doubt to overturn the ruling on the field. Not sure what the conversation was about there with Jimbo.
The ruling on the field was a completed pass. That ruling is under further review.
Well, boy, here's the thing. The ball can hit the ground if you maintain possession of it. If it doesn't move and you don't lose control. Do we have enough video evidence, Brian, based on that to say it's incomplete?
Well, I think it hits the ground once. The first time the ball hits the ground. The question is, does it help him make the catch? Right here at the very beginning, the ball, can't see it from that angle. And obviously, if we're sitting here saying we can't tell, or it's inconclusive, then that's what they're saying in the replay booth, and there's not evidence beyond all doubt. Now, that might be the best angle there is, that the ball touched the ground and moved and helped him make the catch.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a good catch. First down.
Doug Rhodes, our rules expert, are you surprised that he said the ruling on the field is confirmed? Did you see enough video evidence there?
Yeah, there was that one view where it clearly touched the ground. The only decision is, did he have control when it touched the ground? He has his hands around it and control. Then it touches, but is it loose? And I'll tell you, that's a very tight one. I'd have a tough time saying that's beyond all doubt.
Again, the fact they ruled it on the field, the catch helps, but I thought he was going to, at worst, say ruling in the field stands, meaning there's not enough video replay to overturn that beyond all doubt. So it is a first down inside the 40, and it's a handoff to Ayers. He threw a touchdown pass in the first half, going for Ward here. Oh, Ward can't come up with it. He had it until he hit the ground. Tom Herman doesn't care. He's going back to the well again here.
I love it. And Ayers already with a touchdown pass. This is a great throw. I mean, for a wide receiver to throw that. And remember, Greg Ward, a converted wide receiver. Expect him to make that grab, but give credit to Jalen Ramsey. He wasn't fooled, trying to get him and his aggressive nature, but he recovered well and broke up that pass.
Ayers jogged off the field after that play, so he's on the sideline. Ward with time, gonna take a shot here, going for Dunbar, flag down. And it looked like Dunbar was out of bounds, maybe pushed out. Penalty flag is down at the 12. You're going to get Brutus for interference.
LaMarcus Brutus had the arm bar going for about 5-6 yards.
Pass interference, number 42. Defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And again, when you bring a corner fire, Ramsey comes off the edge. That leaves a safety one-on-one. Safeties aren't used to doing this on the outside one-on-one. So Brutus a little bit less sure in that scenario. You can't put your arm in an arm bar like that and ride the receiver downfield when the ball's in the air.
So first down inside the 25. Florida State, you would think, has to hold Houston to a field goal. Can't get down 18 points, considering they've only scored 10 through 3+ quarter. Not much on the handoff. Jackson gets maybe a yard. Tackled by Northrop.
Just to go back to that last play, it's a great recognition by Greg Ward to know that their best defender, Ramsey, came on a blitz, and I had one-on-one with one of my best receivers on a safety to take that shot downfield. It's great awareness by Greg Ward, what we haven't seen on the other side from Sean Maguire.
Houston taking some time off the clock now. Second down and 9. On the Florida State 22. Houston trying to win 13 games for the second time in the last 4 years. They did that back in 2011. Ward on the rollout. Throws, and it's nearly intercepted and should have been by Derwin James. Does not have a pick this year. He's done just about everything else defensively. He had a beat on that one.
He did. Great break on the out route. This is the third time they've tried to throw this corner out. James reads it perfectly, just unable to finish the play.
Goes back to what we said earlier, though. Houston's making plays, going down and catching the ball near the ground, intercepting tipped balls. Florida State unable to come up with the plays in the second half. Can they get a stop here on 3rd and 9?
All-out blitz.
Here they come. Ward in trouble. Gets rid of it. To the end zone. Incomplete. Allen laid out for it, but could not get there. It's 4th down. Andrews in coverage, and Andrews hurt himself. Got tangled up with some of the camera operators, the photogs on the back line.
Boy, great effort there by Allen. Great effort by Ward, standing in there, all-out pressure. This is the right read. It's where the ball's got to go. You got to take a chance down the field. Charles Kelly's defense gets off the field.
Ty Cummings has yet to miss this year. 7 of 7. And this 39-yard attempt is good. But Florida State had to have that stop. They got it. Michigan State and Alabama to follow. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl kicking off the New Year's Six. And it's the team from the Group of 5 conference, Houston, proving that it belongs in this game. No doubt. 24-10. They have outplayed Florida State throughout. A field goal by Ty Cummings of 39 yards extends the lead to 14. And now Florida State needs 2 touchdowns in less than 13 minutes. Whitfield will take a knee and will come out to the 25. It's been a rough go for Sean Maguire. Was injured in the first quarter. Hurt his left foot, but came back.
And it hasn't gone his way since. He's been roughed up back there. He's not seeing the field great. He's made some poor decisions on third down throws, forcing the ball down the field. All that being said, Dave, this is a 2-score game. It's the fourth quarter. This kid has waited his entire career for this opportunity, and he still has a chance here in the fourth quarter. And you know, it's not going to be easy, but he's on the field and he has the opportunity to make amends for the way the first 3 quarters have gone.
And here comes a reverse on first down. Whitfield barely got back to the line of scrimmage.
I'm down here, guys. I'm just watching the relationship between quarterback coach Randy Sanders and Jimbo Fisher and Sean Maguire. And, you know, to Brian's point, Sean Maguire has to have a short memory, and he's getting beaten up while he's on the field. And then when he comes off of the field, of course, he's getting bombarded with coaches in that nature too. So he's going in, and you can tell there's not a lot of confidence in his body language right now. He's going to have to weather this storm.
And try to trick play. Tom on first down got nothing. Now this pass is caught. Pulled in at the 29, only a 4-yard pickup for Wilson.
I was trying to think during a timeout. You know, I played in 1995 in the Alamo Bowl against the Texas A&M and R.C. Slocum, that wrecking crew defense. And they had a month to prepare, and they brought all kind of blitz at me. They hit me every which way from Sunday. And it reminds me of what Sean Maguire is going through right here. It's not going to be pretty. You just have to continue to stand in there and throw the ball and have confidence despite what's happening around you.
Got to get 6 yards here. Keep this drive alive. Third down from the 29. Maguire close to the first down is Wilson. He appears to have it. Well, you got to think too that Maguire has so much on his mind, not just today. He's a junior, so he's going to be back. But DeAndre Francois, true freshman quarterback, we watched him practice this week, look good. They've got Malik Henry coming in next year. It's not a guarantee that Maguire is going to be the starter next year. He wants to end 2015 on a good note.
He may have been thinking about that coming into the game. I guarantee he ain't thinking about Francois or Henry right now. He's thinking about just getting the ball down the field.
Play action here. Got a man deep. Can he get it there? He does. It's Rudolph inside the 10. It's a Florida State touchdown. No underthrow on that deep ball. That was on the money. 65 yards.
Just keep hanging in there, hanging in there. He's been knocked around. He's had some throws downfield that have been inaccurate. But when you face a pressure defense like this, there are going to be some opportunities down the field. And that throw right there for Sean Maguire brings him within 7 points and brings his confidence back into this game.
10th touchdown pass of the year for Maguire. 7th receiving touchdown for Rudolph. Those receivers have gotten separation, but this is the first time that Florida State is connected. Aguayo puts it through. It's a 1-score game. Sean Maguire's confidence restored, perhaps. Florida State back within 7.
At Ford, we go further so you can.
Florida State has been outplayed throughout, but in the game, only down 7. A 65-yard touchdown catch by Travis Rudolph. He has 180 yards receiving on the day. Houston will start on its 25.
Talked about the effect of Dalvin Cook would have. Here's Dalvin Cook. You're going to see play action. Watch the safety. That's Hightower react to the play action, and that allows Rudolph right here to get by and downfield, and he's wide open. Dalvin Cook with the assist on this deep throw to Travis Rudolph behind the safeties. And Sean Maguire says, look at that scoreboard. Only 7 points down. It ain't over. Jimbo knows that number 10 in red has some grit. You don't hang around 4 years and watch all these guys get picked over you and not have metal in your stomach. The second half, Sean Maguire showed what he's made of.
Could have transferred, gone somewhere else, but stuck it out at Florida State. Run play on first down. And Jackson met in the hole by Terrence Smith. A pickup of 3. See if Houston starts to speed it up again. That is when the Cougars have been at their best in this game.
I remember back to the national championship game against Auburn, Florida State, right? They were down 21-3 in that game. Halftime of this game, they were down 21-3, and it's been the defense playing as a team, only giving up 3 points in the second half, and then the offense finally finding some production.
And Maguire and Rudolph have hooked up often this season. Here's Ayers past the 30. A drill by Derwin James. Man, he will thump you when he comes in there, and it looked like Ayers was expecting that. James put a lick on him. It's 3rd and 3. Now Houston get up there to snap it quick. Out on the flat. Running room for Jackson. He's got the first down past the 40. Out near midfield after a missed tackle. Houston caught Florida State napping there. They weren't lined up.
Well, they caught Charles Kelly bringing a field pressure is what happened. They tried to get after the quarterback on 3rd down, and the tempo caught him off guard.
Now we got a stoppage of play here. No flag. Official timeout, says referee Tom Ritter. This is an SEC crew.
Greg Ward was trying to snap the ball so fast, the center judge was still right next to the center.
Greg Ward was shaken up earlier, but has come back, and he's got his team close to midfield. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns in the game. Inside 10 minutes to go now in the 4th. Jackson trying to get outside, cannot, against Demarcus Walker and Terrence Smith. Boy, Walker, a second-team All-ACC guy. He had 2 sacks his first 2 years total, getting a chance to play more with all those guys now in the pros. And he had 10.5 sacks, 15.5 tackles for a loss during the regular season.
He really benefited from new defensive end coach Brad Lawing coming over previously at Florida, South Carolina, coached some really outstanding players. Jadavian Clowney, chief among them, was a huge help to Demarcus Walker and his ability to rush the passer.
Ward will throw it out in the flat to Brandon Wilson, and Wilson has the first down. We talked about the importance of Wilson, not only on defense but on offense as well. Makes a play out of the backfield. How about the response by Houston after the Florida State big play?
They maintain aggression, right? That's what Tom Herman told Ludes right at halftime. We have to continue to play the way that we were playing in the first half.
Game clock to 9:03. 9:03.
Game clock issue. I also think it tells you a lot about these kids, too, at Houston.
The reflection of their coach. Keep the metal down, the foot on the gas pedal, and continue to attack both offensively and defensively.
And Coach Herman told us that, hey, the hardest thing when you take over a program is getting seniors to buy in, but he says they were the first ones to buy into what they were doing, changing the culture at Houston. Fresh set of downs, pump fake, Ward hit and throws it away. He was in the pocket. There was a receiver in the area, so no grounding.
That was a great play by Greg Ward. I mean, it looks like an ugly play, but they're trying to throw that pump fake and get the ball down the field and continue to be aggressive in play calling. It wasn't there, and he knew that the pressure was bearing down on him, so he threw it 2 rows up in the stands, but it was over the head of a wide receiver. That's a great play by a quarterback.
2nd and long hasn't been a problem so far in this drive. Brandon Wilson is back there with Ward. And a quarterback run. Ward makes one move, makes another at the 35. And there's a flag down. Ward is just short of the marker. A line to gain. Looks like it's going to be a hold on Houston. That was the initial signal.
During the run, holding number 45, offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay second down.
Tough assignment. McCloskey, the tight end, is trying to block Derwin James on the outside. Derwin James has good leverage, and he just gets that big mitt out there and grabs a hold of the jersey. It's a good call by the official.
It's a spot foul, so the ball placed at the 45, and it's second down and 14. 8.5 to go. Houston leading by a touchdown. First Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl for the Houston Cougars. Florida State was just here 5 years ago. Jimbo Fisher's first game as the head coach. On 2nd and 14, the catch made by McCloskey. Good ankle tackle at the 40 by White. So about 6 yards on the pickup. 3rd and 8 coming up.
It's a big difference between a 7-point lead and a 10-point lead as we go under 8 minutes in this game. You got to be smart with the football. If it's there, you'd love to get a first down here, but protect the football and at least give your kicker an opportunity to make this a 2-score game.
And that's why that stop by Florida State was so big last time they were on defense, when they held Houston to a field goal when they got in the red zone. The Noles bring pressure. Ward has time, and the pass on the money to Ayers. First down. Great throw by Ward.
They found the matchup that they wanted coming into this game. Demarcus Ayers on Javian Elliott with inside leverage. There's no way Elliott is going to guard Ayers on an out route.
They go quick here after the 20-yard gain. Run the ball. Brandon Wilson doesn't get much. Brought down by Derek Noddy after a 1-yard gain.
That's where you talk about coaching, Dave, and finding matchups. And if Charles Kelly wants to bring pressure as he did on that 3rd down, why wouldn't you take Jalen Ramsey and play him on the best receiver for Houston? Why do you leave your least talented cover corner, Javian Elliott, on the best player for Houston? That's where matchups and coaching come into play.
Yep, great question. 2nd down and 10 on the 19-yard line. Inside 7 minutes. Swing pass. Ayers spins away from one man, then Ramsey got a hold of his jersey and takes him down. A gain of 2. 3rd down and 8 again.
Ayers, see if he does it here. Let's see if they decide to bring pressure again, whether they leave Ayers and Elliott. And right now, Elliott is lined up over Ayers.
You think they took Ayers on purpose and moved him over to this side away from Ramsey?
I wouldn't doubt it. 1 second.
3rd and 8. They saw Ramsey line up. He's at the top of the screen, so they shifted Ayers over. 3rd and 8. Ball on the 17-yard line. Here comes Ramsey, and they leave the receiver wide open. Chance Allen into the end zone. Touchdown! What a great call by Major Applewhite and Tom Herman.
Well, and a complete bust by Florida State defensively. Between LaMarcus Brutus and Jalen Ramsey, both of them decided to come. If the corner is going to blitz, then the safety has to protect him over the top. And it just didn't happen. Here comes Ramsey, and Brutus came as well. You show the all-22 guys, you'll see both those guys come, and just a complete miscommunication.
As if to say, how can we make that mistake at this juncture of the game when we finally got it down to 1 score? Great response by Greg Ward. His first touchdown pass of the day, 17th of the season. Chance Allen now with 2 touchdown catches. Oregon transfer. Point after makes it 31-17 Houston. First time this season Florida State has allowed more than 25 points in a game. Might it cost them the Chick-fil-A Houston with its longest possession of the game. 12 plays, 5 minutes. They go 75 yards to go back up by 14 points. They've run 91 plays to only 55 for Florida State in this game, and it will be a touchback.
That last touchdown by Houston shows how important communication is on defense. Here's Jalen Ramsey and LaMarcus Brutus before the snap trying to communicate who's got what assignment. As you look at the all-22, they feel like they're in good shape. Jalen Ramsey's going to come off the edge, but rather than going over the top to cover him, Brutus is going to come as well, and that leaves Chance Allen wide open for the touchdown. Both guys, Brutus a fifth-year senior, Ramsey started for 3 consecutive years. There's no youth excuse right there. That's just failing to be on the details and communication. Gave up a huge touchdown in the fourth quarter.
On the last possession, Sean Maguire regained some confidence with a long pass to Rudolph for a touchdown. There's still plenty of time for Florida State. Down 2 scores. Houston bringing pressure. Here's Cook out of the backfield past the 30. Cook near the 45-yard line. So they throw it to Cook. He did have 22 catches, about 2 per game during the regular season. Gets 21 yards there through the air. Cook, for the most part, though, has been shut down. Certainly as a runner, he's got 33 rushing yards on 18 carries. Maguire wide open in the middle of the defense is Rudolph again near the 32-yard line before McDonald brings him to the ground.
Most interesting thing now is how will Todd Orlando and Houston defensively play in this last 5.5 minutes of this game. Will they continue to attack and bring pressure like they have all game? Or will they sit back like they did on that last play in zone and let Sean Maguire have time to throw the ball down the field? Looks like right here they're going to bring some pressure.
And Maguire gets away and throws it away. There was a receiver in the area. Elandon Roberts flying into the backfield. Man, that guy's been all over the field for Houston. Senior from Port Arthur, Texas, who was 7th in the country in tackles this year. He's got a couple for a loss in this game, 3 for a loss for Todd Orlando's defense today. .5:22 on the clock in the fourth. And Jimbo Fisher calls it timeout. They got to waste one here. Somebody not lined up correctly as the receiver Kermit Whitfield was signaling to a teammate. That's a bad timeout. Oklahoma and the Capital One Orange Bowl. That's coming up in about 30 minutes here on ESPN. Florida State down 14 points. Just had to burn a timeout. 5:22 to go. Maguire's pass caught inside the 15 by Kermit Whitfield. A big throw by Maguire.
Yeah, big time throw there from Maguire, and a good sign that he hasn't let all of the distractions of the 3 interceptions earlier in this game prevent him from being aggressive, throwing the ball down the middle of the field here late in the fourth.
3 of 4 for 61 yards passing on this possession. They need 6. Maguire to the end zone. Great grab. Touchdown, Wilson. Jesus Wilson stuck his arms up. Snag that thing for 6.
That's a big-time play from Bobo Wilson. They need him to make a play late in the game. He's been great on special teams all year. This was a great route. It was an out and up against tight man-to-man coverage on Brandon Wilson, and then an even better catch.
Houston's been making plays like that. Florida State hasn't. Wilson did there for his 3rd receiving touchdown. A 5-play, 75-yard drive that took just 1:13 off the clock. Aguayo's extra point, and it's back to 7 with plenty of time left. 4:55 on the clock after this incredible grab by Wilson.
At Northrop Grumman, we've always built the most advanced aircraft. Even when the world said,
Cougars then put together their best drive of the game. But then Sean Maguire responds. He's got touchdown passes on consecutive possessions. Now it's Greg Ward's turn to see if the Cougars, who have not beaten a top 10 team in a bowl game since 1979 and are playing in their first New Year's Six game in 30 years, can extend their lead again. They're going to have to move the football. Florida State with 2 timeouts, plenty of time on the clock, 4:55. The Cougars, the first team this year to score this many points against the Noles defense. And how about this? A pooch kick. It's fielded at the 18-yard line. And a huge running lane for Dunbar. Finally dragged down at the 45-yard line. A risk by Florida State not to just kick it deep. Maguire's got the leg to force a touchback.
Well, LaMarcus Brutus had a chance. Number 42 in red. He's the unblocked player. He had a chance to make the play right there, as well as Reggie Northrup. Neither one of them able to get Dunbar on the ground. It sets up Houston in plus territory.
Well, we've seen Houston have to take a knee in the end zone on almost every kickoff. Florida State decides to go with the pooch kick, hoping that the ball will hit the ground or Dunbar will muff it. He didn't, and then Florida State forgot to tackle. From the 45-yard line, here's Ayers, no running room. Somehow turns it back up, tiptoes the sideline, and actually got back to the line of scrimmage.
Jimbo Fisher laying into his place kicker Maguire there on the sideline. That's a player execution error that could be dramatic for Florida State here. As we've been talking all game, guys, games they're lost. They're not won. Who makes the most plays? Who makes the fewest errors? That's why Houston's where they're at right now.
Well, and that's one of the best place kickers to ever play in college football. And it's not just about putting the ball through the uprights. It's about the entire game and all your responsibilities and executing.
They run away from the blitz. Ward leveled at the 40-yard line by Noddy. When you say an execution error, did he on his own decide to kick it short as Ward is shaken up? Hold on to that thought. Let's talk about this here. Ward hurt again, grabbing the lower left leg. That appeared to be what he injured earlier this half.
Well, Derek Noddy, the defensive tackle, coming from behind, hit him hard. And Ward went down awkwardly on the turf. There comes Noddy from behind 91 there, and he makes that cut. When he comes down, then he lands on the back of his left leg. Noddy's 300-pounder there, and come down on that leg, that left leg right there. A lot of force. And again, Greg Ward, 185 pounds.
Kyle Postma came in for a couple plays earlier. Has game experience, led a come-from-behind win against Memphis this year, one of 12 victories for Houston. He'll come in here on 3rd and 5. They're not in field goal range yet. Ball's at the 41 of Florida State.
What a game Greg Ward has played. You know, we watched him struggle against Memphis and a defense that kind of outmatched them in the first half. He comes back and has a great game against Navy, plays in the championship game, and then today he's 235 yards through the air, another 72 on the ground. He just produces. And against this defense, to put up 31 points, first team to do it all year on this Florida State defense. He's had a heck of a day, and he's been knocked around as well.
Now, if not for Paxton Lynch, he would have been All-American first team. But Paxton Lynch, who might be the #1 quarterback taken in the NFL draft, announced that he's going pro, by the way. Had a great year for Memphis.
First team in the American Conference, but they're in good hands with Kyle Postma if Greg Ward is unable to return. It's not like what Florida State was dealing with in the first half, where you have a big drop-off to Cosentino.
Do you lose the run option, though, with Postma?
No, Postma he played receiver the first game of the year, for crying out loud. He's a great athlete.
Postma will run, gets hit, breaks a tackle, and powers to get the first down. He got drilled by Ramsey and Brutus. Postma's not a huge guy. He's just over 200 pounds, but he moves the sticks.
Great job by McCloskey, 45, the tight end. This is just a quarterback counter. Great play design, recognizing pre-snap that Florida State was light into the boundary defensively, and they wrap McCloskey around, gets a block, and then Postma with great second effort.
Now they can start to burn the clock here. 3:35 and counting. They're inside the 35-yard line of Florida State with a 7-point lead. Postma on the quarterback run the other way. And this time he's corralled after a gain of 1 by Andrews and James.
We talked about the chess match, these coaches coming into this game. You talk about matchups and finding those matchups. Houston offensively, they have not run many plays into bad looks, and they have not had many negative plays. Where on the flip side, Florida State has had a lot of negative plays offensively, and right now I think that's reflected in the scoreboard.
Houston again taking time off the clock. We're inside 2:50 to go in the fourth. 2nd down and 9. Handoff. Brandon Wilson. Excellent play by Tyler Hunter. Down at the 30-yard line for a 3-yard pickup. And a timeout called here by Florida State. Remember, they had to burn one on their last possession. So it's 3rd down and 7 with 2:38 remaining. Don't forget, coming up next, the college football playoff semifinals starting from Miami. The Capital One Orange Bowl, Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma taking on Clemson.
You know, you mentioned Baker Mayfield. I think a big key in that game, Dave, is which quarterback runs the ball better. You think about Deshaun Watson. He's had 100-plus yards in 4 out of the last 5 games. In the last 3 games, Baker Mayfield's had close to 200 yards rushing. I wouldn't be surprised if whichever quarterback runs the ball better, their team ends up winning that game.
And you think Clemson's going to win this game?
I do. I think that Clemson and Deshaun Watson and their defense is going to prevail in that game. Lugs, I don't know, who do you think? You've been riding the Oklahoma bandwagon all year. You gonna follow it through?
I know I haven't let anybody on it either, but I'm going to jump off this week. I'll go with the Tigers, and I'm going to go with Alabama over Michigan State.
3rd and 7 for Houston at the 32. Florida State stacking the box. No safety deep. Postma finds a running lane. 1st down and more. Postma inside the 10. Postma inside the 5. 1st and goal for Houston. They brought the house. Postma found the running lane for 29 yards.
You live by that blitz, that double-A gap, and you die by it. Jackson, the running back, picks up Brutus. Great recognition all game, really, by this offensive line by Houston and the backs in protection. Jackson protects his quarterback and gives him a lane for a huge 1st down.
And Houston going to take the play clock down here. A 1-score game. Postma won a game for him earlier this year against Memphis. Started the following week. They lost. That was their only loss this year. It was against UConn. Boy, they just got the play off, and they get into the end zone. Ryan Jackson with the touchdown. Ryan Jackson, who had a collarbone injury in the regular season, is back. He has been a huge factor in this game today, with Kenneth Farrell unable to go, save 1 series. Ty Cummings on for the point after. Back to a 14-point lead. Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead, Luke.
Hey, guys, I'm standing there on the sideline, and this is the type of season Houston's having. Tom Herman is running a sub 4-4 down the white line here to try and get a timeout called. They snap the ball, they score, he turns around and just smirks at me.
Good thing he's not as fast as he thinks he is.
Well, there was 1 second on the play clock. They just snapped it. He saw the play clock. That's why he was trying to call timeout.
Sure.
There's the fat head of Herman with the grill that he got from the Houston rapper.
I tell you what, people don't realize how difficult it is to come in Tom Herman's first year and meet for the first time 85 to 100 18 to 22-year-olds, try to get them to change the course of their direction and their culture teach them a new way to play football, and then win a championship game in the American, come to a New Year's Six game, and then outplay Florida State on this stage. I don't know that there's a better job. I know that Tom Herman didn't win the Coach of the Year nationally, but it'd be hard to convince me that there's another coach in America who's done a better job than Tom Herman this year.
And told us he was very thankful for how the athletic department stepped up, essentially doubling his salary, helping out the assistant coaches as well. He loves where he is. He loves the players. He could have taken a job in the SEC, but he elected to stay at Houston instead of trying to go rebuild another program.
He ranked pretty high coming in next year.
You would think, with all the guys they have back in offense. They do lose a lot of their secondary players. Here's Whitfield on the return. A flag comes down. Whitfield tackled at the 20-yard line.
And the first game of the year, Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah. Well, think about it. And I know College Football Playoff Committee, everything starts new the next year, but this gives you some street cred. You beat Florida State in this game. You score more points against them than anybody has the entire season. And then if you can knock off Oklahoma to start next year.
Yeah, that's a big if.
Return, illegal block in the back, number 18, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Speaking of Oklahoma, the Sooners will have their hands full. Wayne Gallman and the Clemson rushing attack. Clemson unbeaten, 13-0. Oklahoma's one loss was against Texas. Since then, the Sooners have been fantastic. That's coming up in about 20 minutes here on ESPN.
Well, I think the recruiting is the other angle that, I mean, Ludes knows more than anybody in the country about, but this game and winning this game after getting Tom Herman and getting new facilities and the commitment to that was written into the contract of Tom Herman, the recruiting has to be going sky high as well.
Maguire hit as he throws, incomplete, try to hit Dalvin Cook. Well, and if Tom Herman eventually leaves, I know Houston fans won't like us talking about this, but at some point Tom Herman's going to leave. You have potentially a successor already on your staff in either Major Applewhite, the offensive coordinator, or Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator. We spent a lot of time with each coach, both very well spoken, both have a very good feel for both sides of the ball and the capabilities of the program. First down as the catch is made by Jesus Wilson. There's Major Applewhite. Played at Texas. Tom Herman was a GA at Texas when Applewhite was playing there. Of course, he coached there for a handful of years as well.
Well, I think Major's ready. He's almost at that point where he needs a head job, and this would be a great way to do it.
Well, Dalvin Cook shaken up, took a shot there from Jackson and Roberts. They collide with the All-ACC running back.
Well, he was coming a full head of steam. Been a tough day for Dalvin Cook. Came into this game thinking, you know, this is a group of 5 team, a defense that's undersized. I'm going to be able to run all over them. And it just hasn't worked out that way for Florida State up front, and Dalvin Cook in particular. Not necessarily all his fault. I think it's a combination of the offensive line being a little bit green, of the aggression of this Houston defense, and quite frankly, the coaching. And putting him in position, either that or the quarterback being able to call the run game away from these different pressures. All those things kind of culminated in a tough outing for Dalvin Cook.
This Houston defense was excellent against the run. Granted, the competition different than Florida State. Dalvin Cook's coming off a game he rushed 8 for 183 against Florida. Tore just about everybody up this year running the ball. That pass high and incomplete. It'll be third down.
And for Florida State, I mean, they were really excited, and maybe still are, about next year and the prospects. Obviously, this offensive line returns intact. Everybody on offense returns intact. You know, we'll see in the spring what happens at the quarterback position. DeAndre Francois, Malik Henry, you mentioned, coming in, very highly recruited, talented guys. And will Sean Maguire have a say in that? Remains to be seen. But this is a team that's going to lose quite a bit defensively. A lot of leadership on that defensive side, and probably Jalen Ramsey early to the NFL as well.
Jimbo Fisher, though, deserves a ton of credit for what he did with this team to lose all those NFL guys, both sides of the ball, including a quarterback who's the top pick in the draft and is playing better as the season goes along in Tampa. And you've got a young team. Everett Golson was their only scholarship senior on offense this year, and he was a graduate transfer, so they got everybody back on their 2 deep on offense. They do lose some players on defense, assuming that Jalen Ramsey goes to the NFL. He's a junior, but The job that Jimbo has done to get this team 10-2, pretty good. Good pass. Maguire hits Wilson. And they can score quick. They still have a shot. Now Wilson shaken up. Clock stops to reset the chains with 57 seconds left. Obviously, they'd have to score quick, recover an onside kick. Let's go back to something we were talking about earlier and Houston's recruiting under Tom Herman. Tom, did I hear this right, that they could end up having one of the best recruiting classes ever for a non-Power 5?
Not only that, but right now as it stands, and of course we're a long way to National Signing Day, the first Wednesday of every February, they're the only Group of 5 team to ever have a 5-star player committed to their program at this point. So you look at the graphic with the state and look at how perceptions have changed. Look at these recruiting rankings. TCU, Baylor, all right, Houston, Texas A&M, Texas there at the bottom. But so much is about perception. How does the prospect view a program? It's about branding, winning on the field, relationships with coaches, of course. And so I came up here, guys, as you know, from the Under Armour All-America game. Been down there all week. We're going to air that broadcast on Saturday. 2 Houston verbal commitments are playing as Under Armour All-Americans. That's never happened before, and it's a tribute to Tom Herman. We talk about changing culture and changing a brand. That's what he's done, and it's resonating with kids.
And he is 57 seconds away from their 13th win. He'd be just the second coach since 1900 to win 13 games in his first year. Chris Peterson, the other, at Boise State a decade ago. Down the middle. Ooh, that might have been a touchdown if Rudolph caught that. He couldn't catch up to it. 50 seconds to go. This holds up. Florida State will lose for the 3rd time this year. And again, one of their losses, a blocked field goal return for a touchdown with no time on the clock by Georgia Tech. Here's a shot down the field, just overthrown. Rudolph, the intended receiver, with Brandon Wilson running with him step for step.
Boy, and that was a great throw there. That was on the outside shoulder, just where you want to lay it in there. And Rudolph, kind of with a half-hearted effort at it with one hand. You got to turn around, flip your hips, or at least dive with 2 hands. 44 seconds left in this game. You won't hold anything in the tank.
Maguire rolling out here on 3rd down and 10. And it's incomplete. Tried to hit Patrick. Could be the final play for the Seminoles in 2015, 4th and 10. Houston playing in a New Year's 6 caliber bowl for the first time since the 1985 Cotton Bowl. This is their first Peach Bowl appearance. Last year they had the largest come from behind win in bowl history. This would be one of their biggest wins in bowl history. And they're 1 play away from making it happen. Maguire looking, throwing, intercepted. Will Jackson on the return, and that'll do it.
All right, isn't that appropriate that Will Jackson, the senior, the best player in the secondary for Houston, one of those seniors that was quick to buy in to what Tom Herman was selling back in January, along with Landon Roberts, Taylor, and all of them. There they come, Bonner. That feels pretty darn good, especially in the first year in a new program, everything they've accomplished together. And I hope he didn't have his grill in right there. That grill might get ruined.
But again, to go to a program and win over the seniors, that's the hardest thing to do. This is a program that has been in bowl games, but has not been winning a lot of games the last few years. But Tom Herman, in his first season at Houston, gets win number 13. Only he and Chris Peterson over the last 100-plus years have won 13 games in their first year as a head coach. Greg Ward on the field for the final play as Houston kicks off the New Year's 6 with a 38-24 victory over a top 10 team. The Cougars, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl champs.
This wasn't, people look at this score, and if they didn't watch this game, you can't say that Florida State just kind of sleptwalked into this game. They were prepared to come in and play physically, but they just got beat on the field by a better team.
And Tom Herman, the winning head coach, standing by with Tom Luginbill.
Got the little guys here with you, Coach. Congratulations. You know, you hear the cliches so much about changing the culture, getting guys to buy in. But the seniors, that's the group that's hard to get to buy in. What do you have to say about them tonight?
It's the most important senior class in the history of the University of Houston football program. They bought in from day one in January, and they never looked back. They never questioned. They never evaluated. All they did was trust us and drag the rest of the team with them.
For you personally, as a first-year head coach, you've been a part of a lot of different programs, successful ones, ones that were struggling to build. How does this feel for you and your family?
It's the greatest win in my life. This is unbelievable. Hats off to our staff and our players and our administration for making all of this possible.
Go tackle that shiny trophy and share it with your kids, all right?
Thanks, Luke.
All right.
Well, that says something. He just said it's the biggest win in his life. He just won the national championship last year as the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Certainly a different thing when you have your own program. And he turns this Houston Cougar team around from a 5-loss squad last year to a 13-win team as they win the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, beating Florida State 38-24. Great year for our crew. Thanks to Brian Greasy, Tom Luginbill, our entire outstanding crew. I'm Dave Pasch. So long from Atlanta. Houston kicks off the New Year's Six with a win.